numbers and geometry.
In this hangout, and hello everybody in the chat room. Today's the 4th of August. Sorry about changing the link. I didn't have a control panel, and after last night it was better we had a control panel. We've got with us Matt. He is Video Club, and we had a video of Matt's talk. Explain what you do.
Well, it's not. I consider myself a jack of all trades. Really, I can do whatever I want to do. My mind doesn't have no limitations. It's just what I decide I don't want to do that pins me down. So getting out of that, I see numbers. I see colors. I see vibrational states of being. I recognize the vibrational state from one state to the next and how they tie together. Years of understanding and how they're all threaded together through shape mathematics, otherwise known as vortex math. And I recognize that every number has a positive, a negative, or a neutral position, and because of that, everything has a color. I see how it all ties together. It's took me a long time to figure this out. I mean, I got my whole life in this. Really, the rewards have just been coming out. Before this started happening for me, I worked for the banks in selling fractional reserve banking. I collected debt for the debt collection agencies. I sold and bartered on borrowed money. So I've seen all sides of money and how they use numbers, how some people worship numbers, and it always puzzled me, and I couldn't figure it out for the life of me why it didn't make any sense. I started realizing that what they were really honoring was the sound of God. And what they're doing is they're flipping it upside down in our face. They're taking the symmetry expressions of God. They've abused them and they've distorted their values in our face, and they mock us with this information. They present it to us in Hollywood. They feed it to us in the movies, music. They condition your brain for it because they're required by the law, the contract between God and Satan. They have to reveal the truth. It's part of the contract between Yahweh and Azazel.
Matt, can I just pause there for a second? If I just were to say that on the hangout tonight, we have Chris from Canada, we have Dee from the UK, we have obviously Matt from America, Frankie UK, Ceres Holland, we have UK, and we have Anthony Riley UK, and me UK. Everybody say hello, by the way, to Matt and everybody. Hello, hello, hello.
Hola.
Hello.
Hey.
Hello.
Howdy.
Thank you for that.
Doesn't come from books. It comes from experience, and it comes from circles of knowledge, and it comes from, I didn't pick something and go and pursue a particular subject matter. I just asked questions, and my questions led me to where I needed to be. It's like you always know you're part of infinity. You always know you're plugged into God and consciousness. You already know everything. It's just allowing yourself to see it or asking the right questions.
Is there any way you could put up a couple of pictures, Matt, of what you do?
Yeah, I'm still working on using my computer, so bear with me. I know I can do some crazy stuff with numbers, but I can't use a computer to save my life.
Okay, and just to let everybody know in the chat room, Matt will keep talking, the panel will ask questions, but this is about the chat room asking questions as well. Answer you, but not too many at once.
Okay.
Dee and I will keep an eye on the questions. Okay, D?
Well, again, I'm at my mum's at the moment, but yeah, once I leave, I'll be back and I'll be able to get in chat, definitely.
Frankie will help me, maybe.
Yeah, honey. Bye, honey.
Thanks. If questions come. I mean, Matt hasn't really started yet, has he? Matt, you must go to the application, otherwise you're going to share the hangout, probably. We had some trolls in.
My computer is very pain in the butt.
Well, what about your drawings? Can't you hold one up? Because we're live now.
I can just hold them up. I can do that.
You have to take that off the screen. You have to take what you've got off the screen because we're looking at Facebook.
Oh, jeez.
Hang on, everybody. It's got to be a complication every time we have a hangout. So, Matt, get rid of Facebook.
Isn't it? I switched screens. Oh, I see what I did. Oh, I'm getting frustrated.
Yeah, put it down. Put that one down as well.
Shut down Facebook.
Well, that's one of Matt's drawings there. You could talk about that one, Matt, as it's on screen.
Oh, you can see my Facebook screen right there?
Yeah, you may as well talk about that one.
Yeah, we can see your whole screen. That's the point. Stop sharing your whole screen and share just the application you want to share. In the first step with the screen sharing, you share the screen, but in the second one, you can actually select an application.
Okay. This is so annoying to me.
Stop your share. In the bottom, you stop sharing.
Okay, yeah, so there it is. Stop sharing.
Yeah.
This computer's kind of slow.
Yeah, apparently.
Hallelujah, Matt is back. Yeah, show us a couple of your drawings, Matt, so that people get an idea about your head.
So what I came to understand in math is that our thinking is wrong altogether. It's our way of thinking.
You're frozen, Matt. Matt, you're frozen. That's it, you're back.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah, so our thinking is wrong.
Whoa, look at that. Can you explain that then, Matt?
So this is, I had a brilliant epiphany of trying to describe and form a key to my understanding of how numbers actually work. And what I realized, the problem is that we keep thinking that numbers are linear, and they're not. They're not linear at all, not in any shape. They're expressions of shapes. Each number is a shape. And that's how the ancients expressed their points of interest, points of value. This is how they used math. They didn't have money. So when it came to shapes and mathematics, their understanding was strictly for building purposes, really architectural building structures. So they use shapes to express points of value, and we use numbers to express points of value. We do things backwards of the way they did. And they also believed that they were a part of a circle. Their calendars were based on lunar calendars, not solar calendars. And in the lunar calendar, you have 13 months and you have 28-day cycles. And if you take those two numbers and you multiply them, you have the sum of a circle. You have 360. And I started realizing that this is occurring in many different aspects of our life. The days of the week, 7. And the times it goes into a circle, 52. How many weeks in a year? 52. And then the bankers work quarters, 4 quarters, 13 weeks in each quarter, 52. I started seeing this stuff everywhere. It's all, everything in the bankers world was based on the sum of a circle. The most they'd give you on a loan was 72 months on certain things, and that was because it was half measures. And half measures of what? Half measures of a circle. Because half inches, 360 degrees, so you just times it, you double it, and it's 720, but it's really 360 because it's half measures. So everything's in measures and half and whole. Fibonacci's a lie. It was designed to keep you off a half a mile. You ever heard the expression off a half inch, off a mile? It's off a half inch right at the beginning. They never applied half-inch measures to their equation, so you can't get a square. You can't square into reality. You can't get a sum shape.
Yeah, but surely in reality, like half a something is still just something. It's not like, it's like you cut a square in half, you've got a smaller square, if you get me. So you're not.
No, I understand
So
that.
I'm wondering where the half comes in nature. That's all.
Well, that's what really was bugging me too. And the reason why I do this is straight out of the book of Enoch. It's telling you an equation. It's word math, word algebra. He's saying that everything is from self is you take time and time times and a half. That's the equation that was given to Enoch from God himself when it came to this. And I had to sit there and think about it for a long time. And I realized that it's because that there's an implosion of force that created creation. It wasn't an explosion. Everything turned in on itself. And you can't get an expanse without a greater number at the start. So 1 times 1 is 1. There's no growth. It won't move. It won't go forward. So it had to be 1 into 1.5. And you go 1 to 1.5 and you start dealing with that as your base, then the 4th position in is square. It's 4.5. That's half a 9. It's still a square number. Even it's portioned, the right angled numbers, like 11 1/4. You double it's 22, 50, and then 45.
Matt, there's no 0, is there? In your what you've worked out is there's no 0.
There is no 0. 0 is a man-made invention. It's a Persian invention after the fall of Babylon. It was not even Hebrew or Sanskrit or nothing. It's Roman. It's German. It's Germain. It's Roman. It had nothing to do with Hebrew. So there is no 0. So when you start looking at scriptures and looking around, Christ is telling you, in the original text of the English Bible, is telling you that there's going to be a room made for you. He's going his way to make a room for you. Well, a room is a cube or a square. So you got to realize that reality is based on many cubes overlaying each other in a vortex, like going down a stairwell. An elliptic vortex. Energy is turning in on itself. That's where your figure 8, your DNA, your Ouroboros, all these symbols, this is what they're telling you. Even that flag behind me on the wall. That's a tribal, that's an ancient Irish,
Hello, Kelly.
that's a Irish Gaelic tribal, and it's the knot of the universe. And it has the same structure points as all my work. I didn't realize that until just a couple of days ago. I mean, this is known knowledge then, but we forgot it deliberately. A chosen few decided to keep it back so that they could evolve and we would regress, creating a breakaway society.
So
I've been at this since I was 4 years old. Nobody told me to do this. This was just me, my purpose, my program, my I didn't want to be lied to. 11 years old, I decided I didn't want to be lied to. I knew too much already. I didn't want to be lied to, so I kept going.
If you just explain to everybody that your mindset was already like this, but something happened to you when you were about 30, and it changed your life again, and it made you even more sensitive than you were before.
Yeah, at 30, I had a addiction to synthetic marijuana, and it was a pretty expensive habit, and it caused me to have a brain stroke. And the medical field tried explaining it to me, and they said that split between the left and the right, I perforated it from abuse from the synthetic marijuana. And the only reason I was even using that was because the state allowed it to happen. I couldn't smoke cannabis because I was on probation. So they wouldn't let me to smoke real marijuana, but the synthetic stuff put me in the hospital. I had a stroke. And I was gone for 2-3 minutes. But 2-3 minutes is a very long time. When you're outside, time stops. Time stops.
Kelly, we can hear you do that, darling.
Time stops. When you're
Sorry.
Time. It's current. When your current's done, time's done for you. Current.
Sure is.
You're outside of current, you're outside of it all. Current is the trap. Time is the trap. Seasons. You start looking around and you start realizing everything is compression layers of color, and you can get physical from life. You start resonating it on the same point. And that's how everything started in the beginning. There was a spark, a sound, and it caused a vibrational state of matter. And the Egyptian word for matter was Ma'at. M-A-A-T, Ma'at, mother, the origin of matter. And that video that Karen put up about the eclipse, in the very center of that video, when that moon is on that sun, you can look right into the sun. You can look right into the sun, and you can see that all that sun is a negative light. There's nothing. It's nothing. Until you get to the center point, in the center of the sun, you can see the center of matter. The heart of matter is in the center of the sun. You could see it plain as day when that eclipse was going on there. And this is symbolizing Horus's eye, because you're connected to the heart of matter, which is in the center of the sun. See how that works? It's so beautiful. And when you was watching the eclipse, that eclipse, if you really thought about it and you look to the left and to the right of the sun, remember everything's symmetrical. During that eclipse, cast on the horizon in such a way, that's a pair of eyes blinking at you. Better pay attention. That was somebody looking in.
Matt, we can really hear that whatever Kelly's doing, we can really hear that on the Hangout.
Oh, she's taping a puzzle up. She's almost done. She's done. You want to wait on that for a minute, Kelly?
Sorry, Kelly.
Yeah. So we're little rays of sunshine, not under my understanding. We're all atomic matter. You know, it's ego that changes our perception of how big we are. What is big and what is small? Who decides? Just like who's right and who's wrong, or who's crazy and who's not. Is the guy with the pen crazy? Who said he wasn't fit to be there? Start. Where does it stop?
Yes,
So,
Matt.
there is no zero.
Carry on.
And because of this understanding, there is only one whole number. There's only one whole number.
Is a wonderful actor. And she died.
And what's the whole number then? Explain it to everyone.
Well, when you're realizing that everything is a fractal state, it's turning down from a point. Okay? Everything to our reality is turning down to a point. But it's really upside down, So we're at this point, and the sun's in the center, see? We're on the ceiling. We're up here. The stars and the heavens, they turn around us. That earth doesn't move. That sun doesn't move either. It's an illusion of movement because of the turning of the skies. That sun doesn't move. I don't think so. It's like an hourglass. You think an hourglass, it doesn't move. What's the same to one point is same to the other point.
1 second, Chris. Chris, what do you say to that then?
The sun being just a focal point, yeah.
Yeah. I believe that the center of the sun is Mayat, what the Egyptians called Mayat, and that's the heart of mother.
Yeah, no, I agree that what we perceive as the sun is more a focal point of energy than it would be what we could consider a fully solid object. I mean, it's obviously would have crystal properties and be illuminated by the E8 lattice and so forth, but it's a focal point in the magnetic field which forms this E8 lattice that Matt's talking about. It's like a self-centered magnetic field that's coming in on itself, and where we see it is at the convergence and divergence of those interference patterns. So carry on, Matt. I'm with you.
And what they're telling, so what religions are trying to do is they're trying to insert a false sun under your feet. They're trying to get you to worship Saturn instead of the sun in the sky. See this? You start looking around at every religion. It doesn't matter which one, all of them. Pick one. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Pick one. They're all pledging themselves to Saturn deity worship. Every one of them. That is not in the commandments. There are no symbols for you cannot describe me. That's what Yahweh says. You do no symbols, none. Well, that one thing right there, they're all wrong. They're all lying. You're worshiping symbols, you're worshiping traps. And what I call a trap is a box. That is the very definition of a trap. I'm trying to square you into a program.
Matt, we have our first question for you. Just wanted someone in the chat room, Marilyn. She wanted to know, does your birth date have any relevance?
I don't know. To be honest, I don't know. I know that I'm getting sick, and I know that there's all kinds of weird shit coming down, and it all correlates within a few days of my birthday, 33 and 33 and 6 days. All these things are correlating within prime numbers of my birthday. So I don't know.
Does she mean the question? Is she asking like the day that you're born? Does it have any relevance to your spiritual journey or
for
path?
Person, yes. For individual personalities, yes. I'm sorry, yes. But yes, it does. It has everything to do with it. It's the makeup. It's your genetic makeup. Who decides when you come here? Who decides what hour you walk through the gate from the meta to the physical? Who decides? Who put the thought of your name in your parents' head? Who decided that? You think your parents named you? They didn't name you. That's your program. It's put on their heart to name you that because that's what the Creator wanted you named. So yeah, your name has a lot of value in it on itself. It has a lot of clues to what you might be supposed to be doing with your life. It could attend to physical elements and things.
I've also thought of it from just from a strictly scientific and chemical aspect too. I mean, not only the day that you're born, but perhaps even more importantly, the day that you're actually conceived, right? So, at the moment of inception, right, and the cells start to divide, they're going to be influenced by whatever the electrical and magnetic makeup of the environment is at that time, at least be influenced by those effects on your mother's body and so forth. So your entire gestation period is influenced, to some degree by the magnetic fields and whatever state you're in. So there's lots of scientific evidence that shows that too. Like if a mother is stressed and starving of food and so forth during pregnancy, then the children that are born have a propensity to be more obese because when they're born they think you know, I'm starving all the time, and that's actually programmed into the code during gestation, right? Or if they're under, you know, severe radiation, you know, the children develop in utero based on the environment. So it's a bit of both, right? We have a genetic code that can react to the environment. So it's epigenetic is kind of how I see that too. So both when you're born and when you're conceived is important. Yeah.
Yes, no, every number about your life, even when you die. You want to think that. But yeah, everything is symmetrical in shape and everything. And when the Bible is talking about a name, it's saying you better know my name. And it astounds me, okay, how the mindset of the people that wrote the Bible, well, you know, the fathers that wrote this stuff, they literally had the mindset of a child. Quite literally, in a lot of aspects, their mindsets are so innocent that we can't see it because we're perverted.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, Matt, have you heard about Dave Murphy's latest theory about maybe that babies actually speak their own language, like Paleo-Hebrew, basically, and that we're born knowing a language, and then we as parents, like, we knock it out of our kids and teach them a new language. So,
Absolutely, I agree with that 100%. Children respond with me more. Most adults won't have conversations with me because I ride on such a high vibrational state. They don't feel comfortable around me. And that's fine. I know what's going on. They don't have a clue. But their children love me. Their children will want to hang out and they won't leave. Their parents will think that I'm sort of creepo. But no, it's just because I'm riding on the same vibrational plane as a child. They want to hang out with me because they know I know something. They don't know what it is. They just get that feeling from me, so they don't want to leave. Even the kids have never seen me before. It's funny. I know what's going on. The parents fucking weirded out by it.
I was going to show you some pictures, Matt, that I got on the screen there. If someone could pop them up there, just to get your opinion on it too. Some different things that I've noticed. But this kind of carries on with, you know, the whatever's, you know, on the macro scale is also on the micro scale, pretty much to fractal infinity. This is a hydrothermal synthesis of basically the FeO3s and different irons and magnetites. And now these objects are actually on the nano scale, so like A, B, C, D. You can see that wow. A is pretty much, you know, it looks like a seed off of, you know, any standard tree or papyrus, that type of thing. You know, this one looks like a walnut. And this is a rose, right?
Wow.
So this is a rose. You can see the cubes with the internalized, you know, spherical. So this is actually perfect cubes. And when you really get into the size of them, they're all squares, right? So the squares are making the lattice shape of, like this one here's a good picture, you know, tiny squares and diamonds. And it's all hydrocarbon, basically diamonds, right?
Yeah.
And there's other objects like this one here. I mean, obviously you can see the cactus. So this is the cactus, you know, and everything else here.
I think you're no longer updating your screen. Oh, there it is.
Yeah, so cactus, roses, you know, when I look at these types of images, and you can keep in mind these are nanometers, right? So this is electron microscope nanometers. That's
where you get
iron.
Trinity Rose. That's how you get that. They got a saying, Trinity Rose. There you go. That's where it is. Yep. Trinity Rose.
Right. So the math that you're coming up with and understanding is, you know, directly related to the magnetic proportions of these on these scales, right? So it goes down to infinity almost, and you end up with the sphere, right? It's once you pack these, so you're packing the sphere, so you get the little tiny triangles. Like there's the center triangle at 150 nanometers, and it ends up because of the magnetic field, you'll end up with molecular spheres. In some cases, like it depends on the charge. So I think, like you're saying, you know, the positive would tend to create more of your cube, and your negative would be more of the sphere. and that type of thing. So just to back up what you're saying on the nanoscale and the actual electrodynamics of it.
Freaking crazy.
No, that is crazy, and I mean,
Yeah,
it kind of
so-
goes along with the theory that there's no true circles. You're just infinitely sided polygons. I mean, if you keep going down small enough, obviously, even a square is going to end up making a circle. You add enough of them together by the looks of it.
Can you see that?
Yeah, it forms like. Yeah, it ends up being like the E8 lattice is the key to this, which is what Matt's drawing, right? When you do the bigger form
Watch
that he
that.
has there, looks like a giant star, right?
Everything has
Is that-
dad's
I'll
name
jump over
on
it.
it. Everything has dad's name on it. When you take the
Yeah,
letters of God and you literally transcribe them over each other, okay? So you list, like you're layering them one on top of the other. Yah, Y-A-H. You do that to the left, to the right. See? You're taking those three letters. That's all that is. This is the structure of the universe. Is a damn name, just like you said. Now, just do that singular, just so you can see it. Doing it once, you can actually see your body in the shape of his name. So, I'm going to write it out again, just by itself individually.
Well, actually, Matt, I've got two questions for you. One is a friend of mine, Dion, who's listening in. She wanted to know what do you get from her birthday of the 4th of the 12th, 1977?
Well, I get this only 2 days after mine.
Okay.
Okay, so let me see. So her principal, the year of her birth, the implication is an elemental being. Let me see. 3 is a number that affects her life constantly. 3 and 5.
No, she's the 4th of the 12th, 1977.
Right. I'm saying her lucky numbers are 3 and 5.
Right.
That means that's why she's listening to what I have to say, because she's spiritually implied. That's what the 3 means. A 5 talks
She
about
definitely is.
principalities and elements. That means she's earthbound. And the 4 is center of the square, so she's an earthbound principle, and she's in the middle of the square. She hasn't really made up her mind on things yet. That was the way her birthday, but her program, how she was going to come in here. She was going to be center square, spiritual being, more towards earthbound things than self or anything else in this reality. That's just what you can figure out from a birthday.
Hey, thank you very much, Matt. I hope you heard that, Dion. Dion's a really good friend of mine, and she's listening in. Hey, thank you. There's another question. Ask Matt if Jesus Christ is the Son of God, and what is his view on that?
Ouch. First, I did go to Sunday school a long time, and I was raised Baptist. And my father had an iron fist about it, and the state was involved in my home as a young child. So my father had the brilliant idea of, instead of physically punishing me or disciplining me, I had to write the Bible. I scribed the Bible when I was a kid, so that the hand memory is way much more than just reading it. Your hand remembers what you read. So that's a weird aspect. But through this and some classes that I had as a child, I had an oral skills and language skill class. It taught me the meaning of syllables. I could understand words without knowing their meaning, even if I'd never seen them before, because I understand the sounds in the words. Each sound that makes up the whole word. Has meaning unto itself. It's not the word, it's the sounds that it makes that makes the word.
Matt. Hey Matt, just before you
So-
start that, my friend Dion says thanks for that.
Yes, I have to. You're welcome. I have to go into this so you know that I'm coming
Well,
from the
then.
same aspect. Anybody. I taught myself. Nobody told me nothing. Okay, so what I've come to understand is that 557 years ago, there was a Council of Carthage and an installation of letters into our language, and the letter J was one of them. So my question for you to think about is, if the letter J is only 600 years old, then how's that his name?
Uh-huh.
Because he died 2,000 years ago. So how is the letter J his name? It was invented 600 years ago, 1,500 after he died. It's not his name. My name's Matthew, and 2,000 years from now, you better be calling me Matthew still. That's my title. You don't change my title. You can translate the words I speak. That's my corporate title. Don't you ever translate my title. So the letter J was a part of this hustle. All right, I was talking about how they're trying to switch out the sun on you, and that's the joke. They're switching the sun on you. You got Saturn as the black. This is what they're talking about: is sun and black hole sun. It's two different suns. They're talking about Saturn. They're worshiping Saturn willingly. The Vatican, and you got to understand that the Vatican owns all your Sunday schools. They're all extensions of the throne of Vatican. Everything leads to Rome. Follow the corporations, follow the money. It all goes back to Rome. It all goes back to Rome. It doesn't matter what organization. They're all affiliated or they broke apart. But go read yourself the Jesuit oath. Once you read the Jesuit oath, you will understand how they operate. Then you'll start challenging everything you know. So I started understanding the sound. You start looking around, and they cleverly changed it. They used different structures to spell the same sound. It's sound spellings. You're realizing when you're writing, you're spelling. You're performing magic when you write. You're creating a vibrational state of matter. You're changing the reality around you. You're enforcing your will on it. You're doing magic. Willingly or unwillingly. You were taught since you were a child to write in a dead language. The ancients didn't have writing language. They didn't need it. They were telepathic. They didn't need to write. The only reason they even had shapes was so they could communicate angles and buildings. They're telepathic and everything else. I even believe that they could possibly levitate because of being copper-blooded. If you think about it, it's negative. It's negative of a positive environment. They could create and manifest a negative energy around their body, so they could possibly even fly, levitate. Superman, Peter Pan. These are subliminal programmings. They're letting you know, but you don't know. That's where these terms like blue blood comes from. That's because they have copper-based blood, and they bleed blue. There's two different types of blood amongst us. They don't teach this. It's not even acknowledged.
Yeah, kind of goes along with what Dave Murphy says about there being an elite bloodline that basically hides behind white skin the same way that the Jesuits hide behind the Jews and stuff like that. So, yeah.
Yes, there are two white bloodlines. Yes. There's the Paleo Hebrews, which is the direct descendant of Shem, son of Noah. And then there's the half-breed bastards that were born in Caucasus Sea on Mount Caucasus. That's where you get Caucasians. Caucasian. They're Asiatic, Turkish, German, Attila the Hun.
But yeah,
All
I
that.
mean, yeah. Well, I mean, from Dave Murphy's point of view, obviously, people. It's basically white skin is not natural to the earth. It's and original people were black and this kind of stuff. So I mean, a couple of people think he might be a bit racist, but from what I've spoken to him about, it's all about the bloodlines rather than the actual skin color itself. So
he is right. He is right. Adam was black. Christ was black, but Noah was white. And Noah was born from black parents. Okay? That's not taught. He was albino, born to black parents. You can find that in the book of Leviticus. His dad was Leviticus. And he flipped out on the city council. He thought his wife was messing around with a fallen angel. It wasn't. So now you can understand that Noah carried all DNA in his body, black and white.
Doesn't that relate, Matt? Doesn't that relate to the, there's no help for the widow's son type of?
Right, and that's why in Revelations it's actually telling you that they're going to be highly more favored. The widow's son, the bastards out on the street, the ones that aren't taught nothing, they're cut loose and lost. They're going to be dumped with knowledge. Boom! When you look around, all the children are getting labeled with ADHD.
yeah, it's because they're waking up upside and they're bored because we're trying to teach them our ways, and they're like, fuck you, no, I'm doing it my way.
Right. And because they won't go with the program, well, he's got a mental disorder. Well, guess what? Ex-insurance agent says 400 mental illnesses in the book. I can label somebody with one of them. Damn sure I can find one. Give me a prescription pad. I'm out for a commission.
Yeah, it's an interesting part of the game. Yeah.
You got 400 labels. Your job is to label somebody mentally ill. What if the government said, hey, we need to make everybody take a mental health evaluation? What if the guy holding the pen is mentally ill?
There's only one that doesn't appear in the DSM-5, and you know what it is, right?
No, I can only imagine. I've been out of it. There's too many. There's too many. The newest one, my favorite one is
Matt, did you know all this before you had your stroke, or did more come afterwards?
Oh no, I knew. As far as the bank and stuff, you gotta understand, it's a way of thinking. Okay, and once you understand their thinking, there's no going back. There's no going back. You can't go back. You understand how they operate and how they work. You can't go back to being a damn sheep. This world really doesn't have no appeal to me at all. Because of what I went through as a young child, I grew up in the mindset of I don't need nothing, I don't want nothing. So I didn't allow myself to want anything. So therefore, I already cut myself away from the illusion. And I didn't even do it to begin. I didn't do it to. I was just doing it because I was angry. I said, I don't want that shit. I don't need it. You may be able to have it. I don't want it. You're not going to throw it in my face. I just don't want it.
It's the same thing with opinions. It's like you have to have your opinion and you have to make war for your opinion. You have to defend it. Well, what if you don't have any? Then what are you defending?
You have no value. I went into the gas station this morning and I had a minor altercation with a 20-year-old man. And we were both making coffees, and I was, pointing out a fact about sugars and artificial sweeteners, and he gave me an attitude. I looked at him and I said, I should punch you right in your fucking mouth. Because the way he present, I said to him, I said, there's bleach in the white sugar. I said, this is non-processed sugar. It doesn't have bleach in it. You won't be poisoning yourself. You should change. Here's some good information. Gave me an attitude. And I said he was pathetic. And he thought I said faggot. He was going to fight over the word faggot, but he didn't know what the word pathetic meant. Disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. He didn't even realize I was insulting him by calling him pathetic. But he thought I was going to. I told him, and of course, he had a fidget spinner too, so that really riled my boat. I really went off on that poor bastard. You should have seen him tuck a tail and run. I just had enough, you know. I've had enough. I've had enough of the dumb shit. I walk downtown, I see these guys chasing Pokemon or playing with their fidget spinners. I get right in their face. I don't care. What am I supposed to do? Allow it to happen? You kidding me? I can't allow that. I got to crash that reality. I got to give it a slap in the mouth. Hey, wake the hell up. That's your job. That's your job. You know you're supposed to share. You don't have a choice.
Yeah, no, I get the same kind of reactions when you try and tell people that their lifestyle's wrong. So, yeah, it's maybe just sometimes our approach because we maybe come across as a bit arrogant sometimes. Like, we know better than you. Maybe you should do this and that. So,
I'm not trying to tell anybody how to live their life. I'm just telling people what I understand to be true. You know, I'm not telling people when it comes to sugar, I'm going to tell you you can't eat sugar. I'm going to tell you, hey, this kind of sugar is better than that kind of sugar. I'm not going to tell you you can't drink alcohol. I'm just going to tell you that kind of alcohol is better than this kind of alcohol. It's not going to be detrimental to your health. I'm going to tell you the things that are going to improve your health versus kill you. You know, like
Matt,
medicine.
Matt, can you explain something else as well that's in your genes?
Oh, yes, I am an RH negative. I am a Paleo Hebrew. My family line goes back to ancient Egypt. My uncle is a genealogist, and he traced our family history all the way back to Saint Jerome. Well, for about 10 years, I was stuck at Saint Jerome. I was stuck at Saint Jerome, and I couldn't find my way around it. I wasn't supposed to. Everything comes to you in time, too. Never go trying to find things. You'll go down, you'll never find it. You'll go home, you'll sit down, and somebody will call you and just give it to you. It's really stupid how it works when you really fully understand this, how all this stuff works. Jerome is Jermaine. The letter J was an inflammation. Jerome is Jermaine. It's the same guy. Saint Germain is the founding father of the laws of the Hermetic plane of the sun, alchemy, the laws of the sun. So, and to crack me up even more, the person sent me a painting of the guy. And of course, I happened to look just like Saint Germain. It was like looking in the damn mirror. I shit my pants almost. No wonder why I wasn't supposed to find it. Because it was like looking at myself in the mirror. I wouldn't have been able to 10 years ago, I wouldn't have been able to handle it. I would not have been able to handle it. I would have went off on an ego trip. And then I find out about 2 weeks ago that Jermaine is Merlin. So that's where he starts getting crazy. And then about a week ago, 2 weeks ago, there's a man named David Voss that does a whole segment about reincarnated consciousnesses of Christ, and he's proposing, and I tend to agree with him, and I believe this, of the full consciousness, okay? We call it Christ head. Let's call it Christ head. Christ head is a program. It didn't happen once. He happened many times for many generations, but it's the same program. Being reincarnated into the plane, it always remembers itself. It's the same program. So what me and a few people agree on is that Enoch is Christ. See? He was the man who never died. You start looking around, and this same story is applied to many different regions. A man who never died. In the Greek, his name was Ophiuchus, the healer, the man who never died, the serpent tamer, the doctor. That's your original symbol. That's where your twin serpents around a staff comes from, is Ophiuchus. They changed his name to a Seth, and on it went. But that's the 13th zodiac in the sky. It was placed there in honor of Ophiuchus, the only man honored in the stars, because he never died, because he found a way to reset his clock or reinsert himself into the program. I'm not really sure there. I just know it's the same guy, and I'm going on my gut there. Like, I'll be honest, I'm never wrong. I'm never wrong. I'm never wrong because I trust myself, and I don't feel anything bad about this. You start seeing the symbols and sounds and colors. You start realizing that there's a polar line. You know, it's a war that's gone on through history. It just keeps changing its name through time. And the Byzantine eagle of Rome can be followed through the entire history of mankind. It's even on your $20 bill. And it's the Greek eagle, and it's the Roman eagle, it's the German eagle, it's the Russian eagle. It's the same eagle. They're owned by the same people. So what you've really got going on here is a war between spiritual deities of the eagle and the serpent. The countries that still worship the serpent, they don't have an eagle on their flags. They haven't been conquered by the eagle yet. Western society, Rome, the eagle, they haven't been conquered by the eagle of Rome. Rome tends to conquer nations and then absorb the traditions of the locals, so there's less rebellion from the natives. They absorb the traditions of all cultures and make it molded into one big mumbo jumbo. So what you've wound up with over this 1,800 years is you got 2,000 religions, 2,000 interpretations of the same thing. Many different names, many different cultures, languages, but it's the same storyline, just different names. And it's our opinions and it's our egos that don't allow us to look outside of our religions that are based on our regions, which control our perception and form our education. Conformity. They're shaping your minds to think a certain way about things. Your way is right and everybody else's is wrong. So you never go looking anywhere else for any questions other than inside your little box, your little religion. Problem is, you go in there, when do you ever read the whole Bible? You leave 1 week and you come back 6 months later, they're giving you the same message again and then. The messages are controlled, the messages are selected because the pastors are controlled, because they're educated by the state. They're licensed corporations. They're spy agencies, if you really wanted to technically get into it. They're not teaching you anything. They're just controlling you. They don't want you to know anything. It's like watching a soap opera. You can watch one episode and go back in a year and not miss a beat and figure the whole thing out in a couple hours. So what their game plan was to take the sound word name of God away from the people. And they've done that very well. The words God, the words Lord, and the words Father, and the word El, and Adonai, and all these other words you want to think of, they're titles. They're not names. They're titles. They are not names. It's not personal. It's like Mr. or Mrs., Mom or Dad. Anybody can be a Mr. or a Miss, or a Mom or a Dad, or a landlord, or a godfather. These are generic words. They have no value. They're not a name. That's my standpoint. It's not a sound name. And you start talking, you can go right into scripture. Isaiah 45, Proverbs 30, Psalm 68:4. All these verses are telling you to honor the sound name. So my mind has come to the understanding that they've used the letters J and I to replace sound spellings of words that were originally spelled with the letter Y. And you go and investigate.
Matt, what are your thoughts on the actual use of the word Lord in the Bible, where it's used in 4 different contexts, right? You have the capital L-O-R-D, the capital L, little O-R-D, and then the little L, O-R-D, and so forth, where it's used in 3 or 4 different ways. You see it, how that's delineation of law? Or
Yes, I can tell you that has meaning, okay? When you're dealing with words that are all capital, that's referring to either, when it's dealing with a person, it's talking about a slave. It's a person I can't remember the exact Latin for it, but what it means is that your mental capacity has been diminished to the maximum, and you have been bonded. You're a slave. That's what an all capital name is. Your birth certificate. Your diminished mental capacity has made you a slave. And that's what an all caps name means in Latin. So, and I do know that when the first letter when you're acknowledging your name as, say, the first letters all cap, your first letters are caps and the rest are lowercase, that's the living name. There are different meanings in that. So yes, as far as on the word Lord and Lord, Lord can mean Baal. And if you look at Lord, it can mean Baal worship. So that's the other way they rip the rug out from under you. And they talk about L, they're talking about fire and electricity. L, electrons. That's the fire and electricity side, the evil side of things. And you think about this, how you come up with that energy, that's from consumption. Anything to perform an electricity from fire that way, you have to consume a material good. So it's consumption of goods. Fire and electricity is the ego there. And then the water and the ether, the serpent, and that they've demonized the value of a serpent. You think about it as being evil, but it's not. It's just the turning of this energy in on itself. The cycles of life and death, that's not evil. It's just how you think about it. They just made it out.
Would you just in a allegorical sense, would you consider like L being short form of electricity, atom being a short form of atom, the actual Adam, and Eve being a short form of electron volts, and Eve being the electrical vibrations and that sort of thing?
Yes. Yeah, the Egyptians, when they're talking about things, they said the sound spoke to mother. So the way I understand it is, quite literally, this Yah, you can see that this guy, by doing this with the way I did with the letters of the name of Yah, it makes up my chart sounds, and it's pretty on to what you've been doing with the 3D dielectric graphs you've been doing. Same thing. It's that, it's the same thing. So I understand that as to be the correct spelling of the sound, and that's where we've been pulled off. But they're saying that the sound spoke to atomic matter, and it burst the atom into light, and that's how everything started. And then they had 3 brothers, Anu, and that's where you get Poseidon and Odin, and Atum. Atum was the father of Anu, El, and Ra, and those are all the 3 parts of an atom: electrons, neutrons, and radians. Ra, El, Anu. 3. So that's your God system right there, and Mayat, matter. So yes, they were speaking about quantum physics. They knew this stuff. They knew all this then. Just the language is manipulated to hide it so that they can confuse our minds with it.
Masters of energy.
Because what they're
Matt, in the chat room, Red Rose asks, where do you get your information from?
everywhere. I don't go looking anywhere right anymore. I've acquired so many contacts that a lot of times people are just feeding me stuff because I'm already dealing with things. They'll be like, look at this, look at that. And the things that they're telling me to look at, they're already, I would have stumbled on them eventually. It was already pertinent to what I was doing. And that's just what happens. When your intent is right on looking for things or learning, when you want to learn, the universe will bring it to your attention through your neighbors, through your friends. They won't even know. They won't even know what's going on. But you'll know. You'll know because you're one doing the work. Like the one with the trees the other day, I was talking about how mountains are tree stumps. I didn't know that 3 months ago. I didn't know that, and I didn't go looking for that information. It got dumped on my lap, and I see it, and I can't deny it.
I was going to say, Matt, before you go not denying it, you might want to look into what Chris has been working on, because the big giant trees are pretty much debunked from what Chris has been doing, from what I can tell.
Have you seen the one on Devil's Tower? I mean, that Devil Tower tree stump. I can't get over that.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's a result of a. Oh, go on, Chris. I'll let you explain it. But it's basically a result of a negative or positive strike, whichever one draws it up. So.
Yeah, a big giant lightning bolt creates the basalt, and then the hexagonal fractures are because of the stresses. And it's
wow. No, I see it. I see it. I see it. The only other thing for me, though, is the Grand Canyon. I've been seeing all kinds of crazy videos this week that have been dumping out through my contacts. There was a guy that went down the bottom of the canyon. They found some crazy stuff in the Grand Canyon. They found a burial tomb that they believe could be Joseph's burial site. Or Jacob, I mean, not Joseph, Jacob. A race of red-headed white people. Egyptian artifacts.
It's a bit of mix and match. I mean, I've seen a lot of, the redheaded white people that were really large, that migrated essentially from Northern Europe, and they walked during the Ice Age times. So they did end up way far south too, and in isolation.
They were persecuted. They didn't migrate.
Yeah, too.
They were persecuted out of their own country. My family, I found out about my family history that we were persecuted out of Turkey. And whenever they caught members of my tribe, they would stake them and burn them alive.
There's also, they came through Canada about 11 or 12,000 years ago, apparently. And we've dug up some sites here in Newfoundland. And not all of them were necessarily white with red hair, but they had a ritual during their burial as well, their burial ritual, where they used red ochre, and they surrounded the body and all that in a red ochre powder, which leached into the hair as well too, right? So it's a bit of both. So it's a multifaceted thing, but it's certainly fascinating. They certainly had the skulls, like the larger elongated skulls as well. I think that's the same. I got a
really big skull. I have a really big skull. I can't find a fitted hat. I go to the stores. They don't make fitted hats regular on the shelf for people for my head.
Yeah, welcome to the club. Mine's pushing about 8, roughly 8 and a quarter. Yeah, I can't find a hat either. It sucks. Yeah. Yeah.
I like wearing I like wearing old hats. I like wearing fedora hats. I don't like baseball hats. I like to keep the sun off my neck. And the only ones I ever find are the ones that are given to me. I can never find one in my size. And the one I have right now, the funny story about it is that same hat was given to me 2 times. When it was given to me a year ago, and I went to Denver and I lost it on the trip. It was stolen from me. And when I came back from the trip, somebody else gave me the same hat. So when things are supposed to be yours, they're yours. They always come back to you in one way or another.
I got a ton of information on the formation of like Devil's Tower. If you go down south of it, Sundance, there's the negative pole, which creates an actual. It's actually a star crater if you look at it. But I got a whole ton of information that shows how all that was formed by the electrical forces. And
I see what you're saying in my head because I've seen people making glass with lightning rods.
oh yeah,
So I see exactly what you're saying in my head. I see it. I see how the tree could have been a light. I see it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
yeah. So if you want some information, I can pass it to you somehow, either through Facebook.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Just add me on Messenger. I mean, I have all my photos public and I have my Facebook. I hope for people to be like traumatized by these pictures and stuff, like it's a look, I leave it out there. Just look. One of my friends is like, you walk around showing people this stuff? I said, yeah, I'm ripping their blinds off. She laughs her ass off. She's very awake too, so she thinks it's funny that I'm walking around. She actually has a name for it. She calls it quantum spark. In her circles, she recognized it right away. She said, "That's the quantum spark." She's like, "You know this by the numbers?" I'm like, "Yeah." And she's like, "You're walking around." She's flipping out, laughing her ass off. She's like, "You're walking around showing people quantum spark to wake them up."
The all spark. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. She just like she couldn't believe it.
It's interesting too how they, how it's.
Hey, I just have to say something. Marilyn in the chat room says, "Tell Matt he looks like a young version of Jack Nicholson."
That's true.
Twice
Yeah.
the character and twice the troublemaker.
You can't handle the truth. Yeah.
I love it. I love the truth, and I love giving it to people in public square. I did it in front of a college group the other day. 20, 30 people. I was walking right through them, acting all innocent. And then I turned on a dime and stopped right in the middle of the crowd. And I looked at them all strange, like I was crazy. And I give them wide eyes.
How did that go?
And then I said, let me ask you all a question with you highly educated people. I said, to the left of you, to the right of you, to the in, to the out, what's not an atom? Have a nice day. I walked right on. I didn't even go.
It's sometimes quite hard walking around with all this stuff, even just as a flat earther, isn't it? When you know that most people just haven't got a clue whatsoever.
I know, and they got an attitude of entitlement, so I like to.
1 second, Matt. 1 second. Sideways, Chris wondered if the electric subject that you were talking about, if there's a link, you could put it in the chat room.
Electric link.
A link?
Yeah, so what we were talking about, the electric subject, he said, is there a link? And if there is, can you put it in the chat room?
Well, there's there's lots of links on plasma electricity and how the electric fields and stuff work, but I haven't found anything that relates it to a flat
Aaron,
plane
if you go,
cosmology. That's kind of my own work, right? So yeah, I haven't found anything that relates it to a flat plane type of cosmology because that's kind of my own work. But so I'm pulling from the electric universe and that type of, which actually is interesting because if you try to Google not Google, but go into Wikipedia and look for electric universe, all of the information has been completely suppressed. So it's hard to find. So Electric Universe is a website, and the Thunderbolts Project Thunderbolts Project is another website you can go to.
they're friends of mine too.
Yeah, but they're not based on flat Earth. I mean, they're still applying it to a solar system model and so forth. But the plasma electricity and all the physics is spot on, right? It works in less like a laboratory.
Sowing seeds is all it's about right now. Yeah. I'm in 1,300. I'm a little guy with an Obama phone. I started this little idea of mine. I'm in 1,300 groups. 1,300. That's a lot of work. That's a lot of work. I'm in 1,300 administrative positions all over the internet. You have no idea how many people's ears I got.
Matt, there's two other things I think you may as well explain to the chat room, like who else you're related to and what's happened to you in the last couple of days.
I don't want to talk about that stuff, Karen, really.
Okay, then. You don't want to. Well, mention one of them, who you're related to.
Oh, I take your pick. Many names. Tesla. That's a good one. That's my favorite. Actually, my biggest favorite, I like to Merlin. I'm straight line. I'm related to Merlin. Okay, I'm related to Merlin. It's fucking awesome. I'm related to Merlin. Leave me alone. He was the king of the Israelites. I'm related to Merlin.
Right, Matt. Question for you from Rebecca. Question from Rebecca. Can Matt about the Y being replaced by a J?
They use, it's like sweet and low and sugar, right? Yahweh says, eat the sugar. Devil came along and invented sweet and low and switched it on you without you knowing. So for the last 1,500 years, you've been eating sweet and low and you thought you were getting sugar. That's basically what happened. They switched it out without you knowing or without your understanding, and they just kill people off. They have a few mental things they do, okay? Kill the parents, teach the children, right? Get it? Kill the parents, teach the children. Controlling the education. Alien dialect. Get the woman, got the child, the man will follow. Control society. That's the smallest part of society is the family. Well, how do you control the family in society? Get the woman to fall. You got the child because you got the mom and the dad will come. That's how government works. Alien dialect. This is applied to business. Create a fearful problem. Create a fearful problem. Present a fearful solution. Control the situation and the outcome. Alien dialect. These are principles that they use every day against you and I. They use the sound of your words that you speak innocently because you have a limited vocabulary, and they twist the sound intent of your words so they can abuse whatever you say coming out of your mouth. That's why you always get screwed when you go to court, because they are twisting the sound intent of your words. How many ways can you spell hair? Or not? Or how about see? Or would, could, should? You understand there's many ways to spell. Every sound has many spellings. See? So they can twist the intent of your words based on the spelling of the sound. So a verbal contract with a lawyer, you really can get screwed back. Realize the word has 5 or 6 different meanings. I highly suggest people start learning about parsing, syntax, grammar. That's why I write and spell the way I do on my posts on my Facebook wall, so you can see these missound spellings and manipulations of words, and how that's what Christ was talking about, having eyes to see and ears to hear. Don't pay attention to the spelling of sound, listen to the sound of it. Look past the spelling of it and listen to the sound of it. Ears to hear, eyes to see. That's what he's talking about. This stuff was going on then. The masses were already controlled by this same system. He came to set you free from it. He wasn't trying to put you into a church. He was trying to tell you you are the church. He also said that the seat of Moses was already stolen. So the church has already been compromised in his time. It's already turned against God's will and his way. And that's what Christ said. He didn't come to change the laws. He came to confirm them. And that was manipulated too. Everything you think you know is upside down. Everything you think is right is probably wrong. Good, don't you wonder why good behavior gets you punished? Bad behavior gets you rewarded? That's just the way it is. Look around. If you're straight and trying, there's no benefits for you. But if you're whacked out of it and you decide one day that you want to be a guy or a girl, you want to change your sex, by God, they'll pay for that operation. They'll fork out that 50 grand. That's bad behavior, and it gets you rewarded. They don't want to take, they're more apt to take the children from parents who are trying than drug addicts and addicts, children, because 9 times out of 10, that child will become an addict. So that means that's a cash cow for them. You got to understand, it's all tied together. Everything's tied together. They're trafficking in the heroin. Who's protecting the heroin? How's it getting into this country? We don't fucking grow it in the United States. And I'm sure the fucking immigrants aren't carrying bricks of heroin on their fucking backs when they come across the border. So how's it getting in here? Who's bringing it? I mean, these are logical questions to be asking with limited knowledge. And just by the way I presented it, we all know the answer without having to say it. Like, I'm trying to look for the people responsible for every terrorist attack on this country's history. Fine, I'll make it real easy for you. It's on the money. How about that? How about the people responsible for every terrorist attack in this country's history? They printed out their devious attacks on this history before it happened so they could get off on it, be morally unaccountable for their actions because they told you they were going to do it before they did it. They got off on it. Well, look at, investigate your $20 bill history. Ask yourself, why is the Twin Towers on there? Ask yourself why the Oklahoma City bombing was on the one before that. Ask you why the Pentagon was on the 50 being blown up. Or what about the $100 bill in the New York City harbor that's going to be blown up? Well, how about the $10 bill in the Hoover Dam that's going to be blown up? Who's putting that on the money? Is that the towel heads doing that? There's only 5 families that control our money. Learn your history. You know your past, you know the future, and you know the present. You know the outcome of all things. And they own everything. The United States was incorporated in 1861. We're not even operating under the Constitution of the United States. It's a joke. You are all property. We're 13th Amendment citizens. We're on a spiritual meta ship that's under international law of commerce and exchange, better known as British Admiralty Law, B-A-L, Bail Law, British Admiralty Law. And lawyers are admirals in the British Navy. That's why they have bar certificates. British Admiralty Regent. Regent is captain of the sea. Bar. And the bar, the International Bar Association, is a monopoly on every court in every country all over the world. You can't operate in a court without a bar certificate, and a certificate is a claim of ownership. So somebody's got a claim of ownership on that bar lawyer's ass. You are a servant to the Temple Bail in Britain when you are a bar agent. You're working for Satan. So says Yahweh. And
It's a big puzzle. It's a big puzzle for sure.
It really is. Then you got to realize, I understand the history of money better than most everybody I know. So the Crown of England went bankrupt fighting the American Revolutionary War. Okay? And a little background piece of information that most Americans will never know is that the crown is broke. technically. It's owned. Okay? It is owned. So the queen is a head figure. She has no actual authority. She's a head figure. Everything's owned by the Vatican. There's only 3 square miles of land on this planet that are sovereign. Washington, D.C., London, and the Vatican. 3 sovereign states. And the 3 work together as one. 3 parts of one whole. Religion, money, and military. Everything is owned by Rome, even the United States. We're all fucking conquered nations. It's retarded to even think you're not. To vote, to go along with anything they're trying to present to you, none of it's good. I mean, if you really start thinking logically and use your damn brains, can you read the ingredients in the food that you're being sold? Do you know what's in the stuff? You're buying your own poison, you know? I mean, think about it. You're going into a freaking box and everything in there's got crap in it. It's no good for you. So you're buying your own poison, and they dump shit in the water day in and day out. So you're drinking your poison, and you know it. And they're spraying crap in the air. They're spraying aluminum in the air. They're mixing it in the jet fuel, and they're powderizing it into the air to intensify Wi-Fi capabilities.
Sorry, say that
Holographic
bit
sound
again. Matt, say that bit again.
About aluminum?
So they're doing it
They're
for?
mixing for heart. They're using it for weather manipulation to intensify electric capabilities in the sky. Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi electric capabilities. I think even maybe later on for things like holographic nature. I've heard of holograms with 3D sound bites possibility. Project Bluebeam, Fire Sign. You see it? You talk?
No.
She's shy on camera. Yeah,
Not surprising when there's loads of people watching.
well, I know that the United Nations signed a weather manipulation treaty in 1972, you know, so I can tell you if they signed a manipulation treaty in 72, they were probably doing it since 62 or 52. They don't write laws for no reason. They only write laws so that we can't do what they're already doing.
That's about right.
So they already got things figured out. You got to realize they're probably 50 years ahead of us, technically wise. Okay? So you got to figure out in your mind, look around at what we have available to us for technology and try to figure out in our heads, what would that actually look like 50 years ahead of where we're at right now? And just that'll give you an idea of what they possibly are doing. And then you can start preparing for that. Holograms, 3D animation, animated matter technology, 5G cell phones with animated battery cell phones. I mean, you go and look at a movie called The Kingsman, and it's all about that stuff. It's all about cell phones being used to attack. Vibrational frequency manipulation. That whole movie was based on that stuff. They mock us. They give you their plans. They're required. It's their cosmic karma. It's what they believe in. They feed you the truth in Hollywood and tell you it's a lie. And then they feed you lies on the news and you believe them willingly.
I posted a link there. I posted a link there too with in regards to the 1972 convention for the environmental. Yeah, just so people,
So,
you can read up on it. Yeah.
yeah, so when you understand these concepts of how they attack us, get the woman, got the child, the man will follow. Women, you should be clinging more to your husbands than the government's. The government's job is to, it's mandate in the DHS that they want to be your husband. They want to make you dance. They want to own your ass. So if you don't like the guy you got, or you chose whoever you chose to be with, deal with it. You made your bed. You know? Why are you going to the government?
Well, it does appear as well that the word husband is a bit more than you think it might be, because it actually means house slave, apparently, if you trace it back enough. So, yeah, so husband in and of itself is a slave name, so,
Right.
or a slave title.
The state wants to be husband to the wife. So, you know, and like I said, in Halian dialect, get the woman, you got the child, the man will fall. You know, and if you look around and you keep your attitudes and religions and egos out of it and really listen to what I got to say, and you listen to all the news, it doesn't matter what channel, they're always presenting problems from a Black Matters perspective, a minority perspective, or a female perspective. Never a male perspective. Never. Food for thought. So you can see that while they're presenting all these problems, they're stripping men's rights away and destroying families and attacking. It's a three-pronged attack. It's attack on the family, it's attack on man, and it's attack on Christian values.
You know what you're talking about, really? You're talking about communism. Or what we depict as communism.
Well, it's time repeats itself. Nothing new under the sun. Everything returns back over.
I put it this way, Matt. I put it this way. They have told us a lie about everything. So basically, they're taking your freedom away that way. They're basically controlling everything through the television. It's subversive, so they're making you believe in footballers as gods and all these wrong things, and then basically they're controlling you that way. In Russia, they took everything away from the people, and for us, we're slaves to debt.
Well, we're
just done it a different way.
We're not even free. The first time indoctrination in kindergarten, the first thing you saw was a ball. The globe earth is the very first thing, indoctrination thing you're fed. You walk into kindergarten, and there it is in the classroom. There's that ball. There's that bale. There's that ball. See? They like to play with sounds. They're telling you, listen to that. Ball and bale, just drop one L.
Yeah, I thought about that. That's how they're doing it through the television, because the people aren't really listening to everything.
Right.
Any words they say, which subconsciously keep going into our brains.
Right. If you watch movies with this in your head, if you understand how these concepts work, never pay attention to the main characters. Okay? Never pay attention to the main characters or fully focus your attention on the center of the screen. Okay? Be aware of this. Listen to the supporting cast. Watch the environment. Look at the signs on the walls. They're mocking you. They're showing you shit. They're telling you things. They're by having a picture on the wall. Everything is placed on a set to send you subliminal messages. Everything, all the time. Every set, every screen, every clip, every little friggin' digit of every clip has got something in it. I can't stress that enough. And then they sound audio overlay, so there's always crap that you can't hear. See, that's why you get, like I say, you'll hear a song or something, and you'll have an audio trigger. You'll go buy something, or you'll hear the song in the store. And you're like, I didn't want this. Why did I buy it? That's why. You don't even realize it. You've been tricked. You've been hardcore tricked. There's a movie about that shit. There's a movie about everything. See that? I used to be a movie junkie. When I was a kid, I was a movie junkie. And I started laughing. I'm like, there's a movie about everything. Yeah, there really is. Josie and the Pussycats. There's your movie about brainwashing and audio overlay and the music industry. Josie and the Pussycats is your music. That's how they show you the whole thing about how they do that in music. How they brain control you in music. They mock you. Every way that you can.
So turn the television off, everybody.
Done with it. I don't watch it. The only reason I have this one is just for YouTube.
But not just that though, Matt, is it? It's like what they do with the news. And this is how they do subversion. They'll tell you that a country's got a problem.
Yeah.
And then they'll stick
Yeah,
stories in about people missing. And then they'll say, oh, look, their soldiers are on the move. Oh, look, this is happening. None of it's happening. None of it's happening. It's a game. It's a plan. They take 2, 3, 4 years to do this. And then eventually they go, oh, now we've got to go and invade it.
Right.
Wrong with that country. And you believe that all these things have happened and are happening when they're not. Those are the kind of things they do with our news.
Right. Looking into green screen reality or geoengineered reality. There's another program called Jade Helm 15. That's all about politically geoengineering the mentality of a population. Ooh. I'm a smart cookie for someone who doesn't have even a high school diploma. I did a lot of work. A lot. I took a beating from my father that left me very angry. And when I left home, I had a perspective of life that most people don't see. My father was a Hell's Angel. I saw a lot of shit that's not good. Grew up hard. So I grew up with the idea that everybody was a liar. Or everybody was lying. So I grew up with those two principles in my head as a young person. Everybody's a liar. And my concept was, where are they lying and how? Right? So I would be obsessed proving people were liars.
Have you ever done any analysis of like specific videos, like just for example, Imagine Dragons on Top of the World, the subliminal message behind that?
I can. If you want me to look at I've never looked particularly. I just started looking at them. You gotta understand, I'm 36, and I have spent almost half my life outside. Okay, more than half of my life was spent outside, on the run, on the go, homeless, living under the stars. I mean, I was outside in it, so that's why I see some of the things I see, because I was forced to see it.
There's a. It's an interesting video to look at if you and the people that follow you and stuff is to take a look at that specific video.
Yeah, I'll take a look at it. Yep. I suggest people looking at a song. As far as music videos, one I just got looked at the other day, it's like, wow, I can't even believe that people don't catch it.
Here's one here in the UK. They say Peppa Pig is a really bad one, and it's always taking the mickey out of the dad.
Well, the Imagine
pathetic.
Look at Nearly Forgot My Broken Heart by Chris Cornell. Nearly Forgot My Broken Heart.
Yeah, the Imagine Dragons one, the one on Top of the World. The song has one message, but the video actually has a subliminal message that tells the entire history of the Apollo 13 missions and all that stuff, and the cover up by Stanley Kubrick, the Shining movie, and the assassination of Kubrick, and everything is all in that, all for a space program. It's actually in every frame of that entire video, laid right out by the Masonic. It's got the Masonic symbols and the gun to the head, and you'll see it, the turkey shoot. It's right from day one. Yeah, right from the first frame, the whole video. So
that is crazy.
So I thought you'd find it, because the little boy rides in on the little trike, right? He rides right in. He's got the Apollo on his T-shirt or on his sweater, and
yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, I can show you one shot from the screen there. You can see in the bakery the people are looking in at the television screens, and it says Stan and Brick written backwards in the window, and it's only a millisecond frame, right? These frames pop up really fast, and you have to watch it frame by frame. It also talks about the assassination of John Lennon. Yeah, in imagery, right? So there's Stan and Brick, so Stan Kubrick, right? That's the bakery where it was all made.
Yeah, I mean, this stand of mine doing these videos, You know, the only other person I know that has as much information is my father. My father was a fucking genius. I mean, he really was. And he chose to have a big family and chose to be just a simple mill worker with his life. Well, he had children early, but a lot of it I was learning from him on the side. He was a very non-personal person, but he was very smart, and he spent all his time studying. I mean, I was always watching him, and I didn't really talk to him much and have a lot of time for us. But he's like me.
Yeah, it's an amazing video. You'll like that, because even the address on the house is 2001, so September 11, 2001, and the mother with the baby. Oh yeah, it's all in there. It's all in there.
Look, have you seen the George Bush? Yeah, you talk about the numbers. Go 9/11/91. Right?
Oh yeah.
That's George Bush's speech to the UN calling for a new world order. 9/11/91.
Yeah.
Irony, and then you know they symbolized when the World Trade Center was built on the Rockefeller's watch. Rockefeller's right hand, wrist hand, it said 9/11 on his watch. On the Time magazine, 1964, when they built the tower. So this plan was in play for a very, very long time.
Yeah, well, the towers themselves are symbolic of King Solomon's temple, and the two hollowed out columns in which the well, apparently, I guess it would be called the Masons hid all the information, right? So, and the information towers that held all the information of the entire trading system, right? So it's two towers represent two columns of Solomon's temple. Right? That's how that's what
I think. Well,
yeah.
I think there's more to it than that. I think it has to do about DNA. It has to do with DNA.
Well, that too. I mean, it's a huge, but that's just one thing. As soon as you see it, then they say that, well, there's your clue, right? There's a clue that there's more to it. Yeah.
Yeah. When they dropped them in place there, that was the merger of the two strands of DNA. That was the merger of the two strands of DNA. This is when, as a merger of the bloodlines of Seth and the bloodlines of Adam.
Yeah, there was a sphere, like at the time there was a sphere that was down in the main courtyard, and it was partially damaged when they came down. It was still standing though, parts of it, I believe. And it matches the sphere that's actually in the Vatican courtyard. The same artist made the same sphere, and then when they erected the new World Trade Center, they changed it to a cube with a circle and a hole through it, right? And now, so just watch where you'll see these red cubes are appearing, like in public statues and stuff, like at the World Trade Center, new location. So you can see it's kind of a change of the guard between the circle and the square, right?
Yeah, circle and square.
Exactly. Yeah. I'll see if I can I'll pull up some images of that while we're discussing.
Can you see this one right here? This is showing you the expanse from the creation. If you understand the way I do, the four seasons, right? The Polaris star is the center of the quadrants in this universe there, and then a spark. That's the sun. That's where the sun is, and then it sparks us out 3 to 4. It's showing you how everything's a fractal state. This symbol in the middle, you see the owl? This is why the Illuminati worship the owl. You see the owl? The face of an owl? What you got here is 6 shapes sharing a center point. You got 2 squares, 2 circles, and 2 triangles, which they all share a middle point, which is a 7th point, so it's 7. And then there's 6 outer points, and the 7th is the inner. But what I've done on this is demonstrated that everything adds up to 7 in the center. 6 to 1, 5 to 2, 4 to 3, 7 is always in the center of all things. It's a fractal state. And this shape is symbolized a lot of places. This is where you get your Horus glass, your Eye of Horus. You got hourglass. And you can even see the Star of David in there. Seal of Solomon. And you keep expanding from that same ratio. So you went, that one was 6, and you go double to 12. So expanding it double to go to 12, you get this. And that's where you get your flower of life. And this is Tesla's 12 positions in numbers, or 12 pillars to reality. When you read the book of Enoch, he's talking about, you look to the north, you look to the east, south, and west, and there was 4 doors in each direction that he looked. So there's 4, and he was talking about how each door had different types. He was very specific. You know, it's been a while since I read the book, but he was very specific. He was talking about different kinds of rain. And this is where I get confused because I don't understand this stuff a little bit. You know, we're talking about barometric pressures and things. So there's 4 different kinds of rain, and there's 4 different kinds of wind, and there's 4 different kinds of light. He's talking about everything was specifically coming out of each doors. And he was talking about what was coming out of each door. I can't quite remember off the top of my head. But so what I understand from this is everything is it's just a vibrational state. So everything's in layers coming from different doors, and it's making this web, which is this. But when you go in, so this is 12. This is where it gets interesting. When you double from 12, as far as a fractal state, this is 12 to 1. This is 24 to 1. There's your cube in the middle. That cube right there, I believe, is in the middle of the sun. That little cube is in the middle of the sun. That's the heart of matter. That's what I understand. So,
Matt, one time I took pictures of the sun.
Yeah,
It was through my curtains, and the sun came out as a diamond shape like that. That's what the pictures came out as. The sun was a diamond. Phone, I'll send them to you.
Yeah, and then those images, it looks a lot like the other ones I was showing you too, with the nanomillimeter type of chemistry, right? At the molecular level, right? Yeah.
that was 24. That was 24 to 1. So what you're doing is you're going 15-degree circle, and you're getting 24 positions in the circle. 15 degrees between each one. And you're getting 24 positions on the out, and plus 1 in the middle, which is very weird. So you got 24 on the out and plus 1 in the middle. 2, 4, and 1. There's 7. See that? It's a fractal state of 7 still. 2, 4, and 1. Sum of 7. That's a fractal state.
Yeah, and just to kind of reiterate, for folks to keep an eye on public sculptures and public monuments and things that are going up, in plain sight, right? It's with the squares.
This is the base of 8. You'll see this one more than anything. This is the law of 9, and this applies to it too. It's the same thing. It's just expanded. 8 and 9 are current in some numbers. They're not actual physical numbers. 1 through 7 are all numbers, but 8 and 9 are states.
Matt, just explain that whole thing about current. We were talking about that yesterday or the day before. Whole thing.
Current. Everything has to travel through something. You have a car, it ain't going nowhere without a road. You have a phone, you ain't going to be able to make a phone call without a telephone wire. You have water, it ain't going anywhere unless it's a part of a river. It has to have a way to travel. Even the sound I'm speaking right now has to have a medium. And that medium is water vapor or matter. And that matter vibrates the sound that comes out of your mouth, and you stimulate subatomic particles into existence when you speak sound. You're creating current. We are co-creators of current and consciousness. All of us. All 7 billion of us. One consciousness. We're all painting the picture that everybody lives in. It's one big apple. Everybody's you. You're everybody. Are you Adam? What are the persons to the left and right of you? Are they Adam? What's not an atom?
Yeah, Matt, explain that one then. Explain that one as well then.
Everything's formed out of atomic matter. Everything's clusters of energy. They're all vibrational states of frequency based on density. Everything has atoms in it. So it's just different scales and different sizes, and everything has the same binary structure. That's why you'll find this everywhere in every religion, in every college and country, this flower. Everybody's talking about the same thing. That's the same thing. This is just a little bit less expanded than this. It's all the same. It's just further into the formula. You're seeing one little piece of code, one tiny piece, and it gets bigger, and the code gets bigger, and it gets bigger. There's things you can't see that are the same sizes, the same physical shape of you. It's called an atom. All you physically can see is your body, but you have a soul. You have electricity that comes out of your heart, and it orbs your body. It's energy that goes around you. And some cultures call it a Merkaba, and some cultures call it a chi energy, or gong, or your soul, or your ether, or your current. It's all the same thing. It's many different words describing the same energy field. We're all part of this same energy field. Some of us vibrate on a higher level than others. You can't stand that because they don't vibrate on the same frequency as you do. They might be too happy for you, or they might be too down for you. And it's all based on what you feed your brain. Soul food. What's forced upon you and what you assume to accept is and choose to be your reality. Everything is your choice. Nothing is not your choice. It's all your free will. Good or bad, it doesn't matter. Your choices are your free will. Feeling good or bad, it's not a response. It's a choice. It's tough words to hear. I sort of came
to the realization, Matt, there was a couple of things you couldn't change. You can't change the weather and death. Even if you're dying, I suppose you can change how you feel. So there was 2 things you couldn't change. The rest you can change.
Well, they are changing
if you want.
the weather.
I mean, us personally, we have no control on the weather at all. If it's raining, get on with your life.
Right. When you realize so when you know that you're just a fucking rat under a dome and they're playing God manipulating the weather, then you must just let go and realize you have no damn control over nothing. Nothing. All you have control over is how you feel. That's it. People die because of being too angry. People die or kill themselves because of being too sad. It was your choice to feel sad. It was your choice to be angry. Why were you angry? Why did you kill yourself? You killed yourself because your girlfriend cheated on you. What the hell did that have to do with you? You didn't do anything wrong. That was their shit. Why did you kill yourself because she did that to you? That's stupid. What did you do wrong? You didn't do nothing wrong, but you killed yourself because of someone else's actions? Are you kidding me? You have no free will. You chose to do that.
Hang on, Chris wants to say something. Hang on, Matt. Chris, you want to say something?
Well, I'm falling behind. That's okay. Carry on. Yeah. I was trying to do some, bring out some images and research that is relative to what Matt's saying, just to reinforce. But I'm falling behind. So you carry on.
So what I try to do in my teachings is I try to get you to dump your religion. Okay. First, you must understand the word religion is not truth. Okay. Religion is an interpretation. Interpretation is an opinion. An opinion is ego. And that's based on your religion, and that's based on where you came into this plane, this GPS coordinates, this region. Whatever region you came in, there was a religion that controlled your education and your perception. Same story everywhere. I could, if I could speak it in 216 languages, I wish I could. I really wish I could. I could save a lot of souls.
Anthony, you're there. What do you make of all this then?
I'm listening more than thinking.
It's a lot. It really is a lot.
I think there's a lot to it. I don't think that
it's a big trap. I've been, like I said, what I try to do is just skip over the bullshit. I show you through the symbols, okay? I don't understand half anybody's languages. There's 25,000 words in the English dictionary. I definitely don't know them all. But what I do know is mathematics, and what I do know is shapes, and what I do know is numbers. Because what I recognized earlier was that, hey, everybody speaks numbers. I figured that out when I was learning how to write codes and letters. I thought it was cool. I recognized when I was a kid that, hey, A was 1 and Z was 26. Oh, crap, let's have fun with this. I was writing number messages to my friends when I was 8 years old.
Go on, Chris.
Yeah, I was curious too with because I know Anthony looks at a lot of this stuff as well. And just to go back a few minutes when Matt was talking about the World Trade Centers and we were talking about the sphere that was there during the time, and now the new one's built and it has a cube. And if you pull up my screen there, I've noticed just a trend lately in all these squares. All these squares are appearing everywhere, right? So they're not. It's not. There's a new one at the World Trade Center, which is red, and it has a circle through it. And all these Saturn-type cubes are appearing at National Monument.
Yeah, I'm gonna do it. I want to show people something real quick.
And I wanted to show you something here too, if you can still see my screen here. The Vatican SP sphere. If you look at the images
the other thing
of the
that's
Vatican,
worth mentioning. The other thing that's worth mentioning about the 9/11 site that's now there, that fountain, it's essentially a Lord Kelvin drip generator. If anybody's familiar with what they are, look at the way that fountain's made, and it's basically producing electricity, and most of us don't realize.
Yeah, that's a center. That's a center that was involved when they came down too. But if you look at the Vatican sphere that was put up as in 2016, which kind of was a symbolization of the change of the guard, so to speak. On the back side of it, you can see that this image on the back side is actually a depiction of New York City from across the bay, looking over at the two towers that are fallen, with the half wall still standing on the day that it came down. Right, it's actually carved into the stone or into this sphere. So just some interesting things to. You can see it in plain sight, right? And this one here, you can actually see that this shadow here creates the Statue of Liberty, right? That's been melted down, type of thing. You can see it's an inverse.
That's DNA code. It's all the same thing.
Yeah, keep your eyes open. That's all. And there's one other thing here. Just a second. Let me share another screen here, and then maybe Anthony could let me know what he thinks of this, and Matt as well. So this is the building, the art center that's down at the World Trade Center location now, and you can see that the glass or the facade of it was actually formed in this actual frequency image, right? And it matches the decoding of what was the WOW signal in 1979 or whatever. It seems to me very close. So this is actually DNA encoded into this building's actual structure, right? And they've copied it in a digital format, right? Human DNA. From what I can tell, if you actually decoded that, you'd probably come up with a DNA signature to a specific
Charlie, look at this.
thing.
Wow.
I think that's.
Oh, Chris, you got to put it back. Kelly hasn't seen it.
I think that's one of them examples where you look at something and you say that's got to be a fluke, right? A coincidence. That can't be down to design.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe it's. But really,
Oh, it's there. I mean, that's. Look,
I know,
mean, it's right in the concrete, right? It's actually.
Is
carved
that
into it.
reflective material?
No, it's concrete. It's the outside of the art center at New York World Trade Center location.
So that's not glass.
No, it's the building itself. Yeah, each one of these panels is a concrete type of panel, and they've actually formed them to make this DNA pattern. If you decoded that, you'd end up with something like this in digital format. Yeah.
Do you know what
it's
it
the
looks
actual
like?
art center? Yeah.
No,
That's in down.
I don't disagree. But my first impressions of that, it looks like one of those. You know, when you get the sand on a piece of paper or whatever it is, and then play frequencies through it, and it dances to the tune. And some frequencies they create really weird shapes. It looks like one of them particular frequencies.
Well, yeah, it does. Yeah.
I don't remember
You
what
look at
that's called, but that's what it looks like to me.
Yeah, you get a refraction, reverberation, but it doesn't matter. I'll show you some other from any angle, it's the same, right? So it's not the sun causing it. I'll just show you so you can see it. But to the art center, had it up there. UTC Cube images, I think is what it was. Right. So even at night it's the same. So it's actually in the structure itself. Oh, sorry. Here, I'll share screen here again. Oh, cancel.
You've always got to do that again.
Yeah, I know. Screen share. Well, it's because I have to open up a separate window because I don't want to be sharing like the address to the Hangout and stuff.
Yes.
There.
Thank you.
So you can see even if it's lit up at night it's actually in the structure itself. This is it's designed that way.
It is clearly a design pattern, and that pattern looks too coincidental for it to be a fluke. Whether it's
not a fluke.
Whether it's what you say, I'm not sure. Maybe not, but it definitely means something. And I wouldn't say no to what you said. I maybe need a bit more persuasion, but I wouldn't say no to it. I would say that they put symbols all over the place, and we look around and
That's
spot
at the World Trade Center.
Yeah, the art center is actually a cube. And when you look at it from the top, there's a circle in it that resembles the actual red cube that's out in the main square. And these Saturn cubes are now appearing everywhere. So I don't know. That might be a radio frequency signal of Saturn itself, or like some sort of radio. Like it definitely looks like a radio or a DNA type of frequency to me. Right? It could be a radio signal that's of a specific element or a planet or whatever, that type of thing.
It also looks like hieroglyphics in terms of. So it looks.
Hang on a minute, Matt.
Oh yeah, I'm all right.
It kind of looks Egyptological in some way, but I would go more with one of those frequency resonations, or because that kind of looks like what it is. It kind of looks like, I don't know if you can you make that picture bigger?
I'll see if I can zoom out in the other one I had here. Just a second. Stop sharing that one and go back out to this one. Because in this one I can actually zoom in a little bit for you.
it looks a lot like a star. You know, when you look at zooming on a star.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. It might be an actual like radio astronomy frequency symbol of.
Because I
perhaps.
tend to think that the stars are actually a sound that's manifesting itself in light. Because I just don't see how anything that's got a light source that can do what the stars do when you zoom in with a P900. They almost look in focus to me because you can pick out particular details. They move like with the wigwam. The what's the word? They metamorphosize, I suppose. They change the form into different shapes. I don't know whether.
But I also see like I kind of see the triple crown in here as well too. But I mean, but this definitely is some sort of frequency that's been built right into the building.
I think it's a frequency.
Yeah. Just to say that Matt's been holding his picture up. So what are you showing us then, Matt?
And it wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me if it was one of the two frequencies, the one that was either healing people or the one that was killing people. And if I was to put money in it, it'll be the one that was killing people.
Yeah. Signs of the times.
This right here is just in pencil, but there's a formula I figured out from taking all the degrees of a circle and applying them over the same point. Every half measure or whole number that would apply equally into the circle, I took that number and I divided it by the circle. I took those degrees and I applied them to the circle and I overlaid them. And this is what's coming out by doing that.
So that means?
This is the spark. So, for example, the first number that can go into the circle is a half a measure, which is a half a degree. So if a circle is 360 degrees, a half measure can go into the circle 720 times.
Just asking you, Matt, with Chris showing us what he was showing, what is this to what he was showing? Because you got these pictures out. So what is this showing?
This is the formula for the whole thing. This is from the center. All this is expanding outward from the center. It's it gets hard for me to explain some of this stuff because I don't have enough words. I don't have the right words, I guess. But it's everything that we're living inside of. This center point right here, I believe that's why we have the Borealis lights. I think that the Borealis lights, I personally think that energy goes through the middle of the earth.
You don't think it's happening because it's near the oh my goodness, what are they called? The pillars of Earth.
It's the pillars. It's the point where the energy turns back in on itself. You're gonna have 1, 2. That's 2 pillars. You're gonna have 2 pillars. 1, 2. Everything's turning back in on itself.
So looping. So looping, yes. Then.
Yes, everything's looping. It's vortex. It's on your face. It's the symmetry in your hands. When you know where all the positions are, then you can see. On your hands, you have 9 points. Nerves in your hands, you have 9 points. It's vortex math right on the palm of your hand. You have 1, 2, 3, 4 nerves on your thumb. You have 1 in each of your fingers and 1 in the middle. 1 in the middle makes 9. So from the center, you can literally do a circle around these 4 back to center, and then around these 4 back to center. And then when you're looking at these, you'll see that these nerves line up perfectly with each other. The vortex on your hand. That same symmetry that forms your hand is on your face. The torus is right there on your face. Symmetry between your eyes. How your brain splits, the kidneys, everything. Everything in your body is based on this vortex mathematics. Quite literally. Everything in reality is based on this vortex mathematics. They just can't see the whole. They call it the golden spiral ratio. They call it Fibonacci. But the Fibonacci is a formula so that you think you have it, but you're off a half a degree because there's no squaring in.
1 minute.
You're
1
off a
minute,
half.
Matt. Explain what happened to you, like about that. Explain how you realised.
Realize what? The what?
Yeah, you're in the bathroom.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was sitting there contemplating I was just watching a video about the Fibonacci code and how they build it. And I was brushing my teeth in the bathroom and I'm looking in the mirror. And I always have this notepad. I'm always writing my ideas down, thoughts. So I tell people, write down your thoughts. You don't know what the hell they are. Write them down. Figure them out later. If you can't figure them out now, they will always lead you to something later. So when you look at the word Fibonacci, you got Fibonacci. When you look at it in the mirror, yep, you can see what's going on here. With just switching a letter, taking sounds and switching them around. See? So Fibonacci is I can see on a fib. It's a lie. Fibonacci is a lie. And if you really just start listening to the fat sound of it, I had to laugh about this. I had to laugh about it because, you know, when you're sound spelling, you get all kinds of different concepts that'll be thrown at you when you just start seeing things.
I was going to say, sorry, Matt, I've just got back. Quick question from chat. Sorry, I get a bit of a reverb. Have you looked at the Coral Castle math by any chance?
Of what math?
The Coral Castle, all the math and the clues that are left around the Coral Castle. Have you heard about that? I can't remember the guy that built it, but yes, it's basically it's a big castle made of monoliths. It was built by one tiny little guy. Apparently, he used frequencies and flywheels and all this kind of stuff to lift these immense blocks, basically. And he made a castle and he left a load of clues everywhere, like lots of little bits here and there. I wondered if you looked into any of that stuff.
Are you talking about John Searle?
Yeah.
John Searle?
Possibly. Sorry, names don't stick in my head.
Oh yeah, John Searle. John Searle's an Englishman I stumbled onto about 2 years ago that started talking about cube numbers, and that really got me going on the box. I mean, I was already on it about the religion, and then he's talking about cube numbers in nature. I'm like, whoa, that changed everything for me. John Searle. Yeah, he was doing what you were talking about in London. I think he had the police called on him for levitating his house off the ground by using this mathematics to build a rotating platform to resist Earth's natural polarity field that we're magnetized down with. He reversed it so it levitated him off the ground and created his own field of energy inside of a bubble that was opposite of Earth's. And it's kind of like putting a drop of oil inside the bottom of a 5-gallon bucket of water. Put that little drop in the bottom and then pull the straw out real quick. Well, what's going to happen to that bubble of oil you dumped in the bottom of the water? It's going to shoot off like a rocket and go to the top. So that's what this means. You can create your own field of energy inside of a device and be able to resist the field of Earth. So you could travel, levitate by the right sound frequency.
Yeah, no, that's cool. So I just got the guy's name. Yeah, it's Edward Lead Scanlon.
Lee Scanlon?
Edward Lead Scanlon.
I have actually not heard of him.
Yeah, oh, definitely Google the Coral Castle then, man. That stuff will probably blow you away.
I will look into him. I also suggest for people to look into the history of Saint Germain, because he is the writer of the laws of alchemy, and that's the Hermetic laws of the sun. And they took that understanding and developed today's Christian Bible from the laws of alchemy that was written by Saint Germain, who was Saint Jerome, who was Merlin. And then I believe he was this same conscious. You're talking about this, we're talking about this war. And with this guy, he comes as purple. So what I've come to understand was that through religions, any color association of purple was tied to the same being. It's tied to the same person. That's kind of where my mind is on it. Like Merlin, everything you see about him, he's wearing purple robes and stuff. And Jermaine and Jerome and Yeshua and Thoth and all these characters are always wearing purple. And purple represents balance and creation and being down the middle, being balanced in all your thinking, being masculine and feminine, being the middle, walking the right path in the middle. You got all this chaos going on. You got good ideas being put in your head. You got bad ideas. You got creative ideas being put in your head. You got logical ideas being put in your head. Left thinking and right thinking. Red thinking and blue thinking. The perfect person is going to walk purple. Purple is balance between red and blue. Your left eye runs your right hand. So your left eye is red, and your right hand is your logic hand. Your right eye is blue, and it runs your left hand. So your left hand is your blue path, and your right hand is your red path. And you walk purple down the middle. Red and blue makes purple. This is part of the occult teachings, is what they're showing you right here. They understand you. So that means that you're fighting two spheres of thinking inside your head, but you should follow your heart, which is purple, which is balanced down the middle.
So,
and from that understanding, that's how you get this. Your law 9 is based on the understanding in this right here, that everything has a balance, that everything is positive, negative, and neutral, masculine and feminine. Well, what really kicked me was mom and dad. Well, there's a sun in the middle. Mom and dad, the sun in the middle. How do you like that? Oh, that cracks me up. So the sun would be the neutral point in the middle, the balance point in the middle of all things.
So we kind of off duality. We're moving into a trinity then, with like a negative and a vortex, basically like the absence or the whole of everything. So,
the book of Enoch teaches us in question form, and he really tells you that everything in reality is broken in. He says, what's not? And I laugh about how he brings it down, because he's like, what's not? He's talking about each season. Each season has 3 parts, just like a line. It has a beginning, a middle, and an end. So every season has a beginning, middle, and end. Every season has 3 parts. So he's telling you what doesn't break down to 3 parts. Everything breaks down to 3 parts. You just got to look for it. So everything breaks to 3 parts. a beginning, a middle, an end, a positive, a negative, a neutral, an alkaline, a acidic, and a neutral balance. Base, say 3 parts. 3, 6, 9, 3 parts. Red, yellow, blue, 3 parts. Everything breaks down to 3 parts. Atom, proton, neutron, electron, 3 parts. Everything breaks down to 3 parts.
Yeah, I can certainly get my head around that more than duality, to be fair, because duality's been messing with me for a while, and I was kind of going the other way and thinking maybe everything's a singularity, but yeah, the three's making a bit more sense, I've got to say.
It's in here. Come on.
Yeah, positive, negative, neutral. Yeah, the 0 point.
And even in the God system, that's what they're presenting to you when they're talking about a neutron. That's the neutral state, the water. The water. There's a neutral blue, and then there's electrical yellow, and then radiant red.
It's the same thing with the illusion of choice. Not making the choice is the third one.
Right.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
of course.
And if you really think about that, not making a choice, I'm so,
That's the power. Yeah, being neutral is the power. Yeah.
the most powerful reaction is no reaction.
Exactly.
So you take something that's unbreakable and put it against something that's unstoppable. In for an interesting experience is what you're going to get. Because this is an unbreakable truth.
I use that on trolls all the time too. I'll get people to come on my Facebook page and they'll make like a mocking comment, like, "I suppose you're confused by how you tie your shoelaces," for example. Like the other day, a fella come on random. I was like, "Well, of course, that's why." So I respond by being neutral and saying, "Well, of course, that's why I don't wear shoes." And there's no comeback to that, right? It just shuts them right down. Right?
I had somebody email me earlier today. They borrowed $50 and $40, and I hadn't seen them in like 4 months. I didn't even chase them for the money. I didn't ask for it. I don't care. If I bought you off, it doesn't even matter to me. If I bought you off, I bought you off. You weren't worth it anyway. But they emailed me out of the blue today, and they're like, "Hey, stranger, how are you doing?" And I'm like, "Yes, you are a stranger. I don't speak to you because you borrowed money and didn't return it." That was the end of my comment.
Check out the screen there now. I
said, "Yes, you are right. You are a stranger to me."
Matt, 1 second. What were you going to say?
Oh, I brought up some new pictures since we're kind of a live research group, right? So let's just do it live. Sometimes it's fun to. So there's that building again. While you were chatting there, I took the time to count the squares on it.
Wow, Kelly, come here.
Okay, so.
The
building is
homework.
Yeah, the building itself. The building itself is actually 30 by 36 squares.
1 second, Matt.
We saw that building in person.
Oh my God.
Me and Kelly saw that building, and that's in Denver, ain't it?
It's in New York.
Oh, that's in New York. Didn't we see this building?
Looks really familiar.
Yeah, me and Kelly saw this building. We were stranded in New York 10 hours. I couldn't remember where I saw it.
Yeah.
But I've been in front of this building and it spooked the shit out of me. I remember it because of the way the bottom is right there with the stairs. I recognize it. I've seen this building in person. It scared the hell out of me.
Right. So the building itself is 30 by 36 squares. And when you the first search, when you do a 30 by 36 ratio, it comes up with a biblical verse, a specific one, 11:30:36 in Psalms, which refers to the sound of be as you were and the sound of basically music. Which would make sense because this is an art center. But when I Googled frequencies that kind of match this pattern, I don't think it's a DNA thing. I agree with Anthony. It's definitely frequencies because they probably tuned this building to us because it's a music center, so it's been tuned acoustically. But the frequency that most resembles it is kind of what I kind of thought, right? It's the Saturn clock radio frequency of Saturn. When you flip between the two, just look at that frequency, and then this is the frequency of Saturn.
No, I think if you did a bit more research, I think you'd find a pretty much exact match. That there's better matches than that one.
Yeah, this is A440. This is A440 standard concert pitch. So I don't think.
Can you do a favor for me? I have an idea. while we're doing live stuff, we need sound waves right now. I have an idea, but I don't know how to do it. So maybe you might know how to do it. I hate getting ideas where I don't know what the hell I'm doing. So that's your Saturn wave. Now, is there a frequency that's 1,110?
Hang on, Chris is muted. Chris?
Yeah, so this one here, so in comparing, that's the building, this is Saturn, and then I also went to do A440 concert pitch, which is a standard concert pitch. So it could just be that the building, since it's an art center and a music center, they've tuned it to this actual A440 concert pitch as well, because that's pretty close to what that looks like, kind of.
I still think you'd get a better match if you did the I can't remember what it's called, but that one where they bounce the sand on paper. You'll get a match for it if you were to find the most, I don't know, the top 20, because that really does look like one of those things that I can't remember what it's called though.
So refraction of light, you think?
No, not a refraction of light.
It's
the resonance of sound, but I don't know. It's got a particular name. Let me try and find it. I'll give you a link when I find it, if I find it. Give me 2 secs.
Like cymatics, yeah.
Yes, I think that might be it. Cymatics.
Yeah, I was thinking either you could look at the cymatic frequency of hydrogen, water, different elements, and see. You should be able to come up with something that looks like that for sure. And
Yeah. Just turn Matt down for a minute. Carry on.
See, yeah, let me send you this link in the side chat. You know the green chat at the side.
Yep.
If I send you this while you're playing, you may be able to show what I'm referring to from 1 minute onwards in this particular video. So copy that, paste it into the side chat. Do you see that? If you want to play that in the side chat from 1 minute plus, you'll see that there are a lot of shapes that really that could resemble that if you find the right frequency.
Yeah, that's the key. Find the frequency, and you'll be able to figure out what that says. Absolutely.
So play that.
I'll stop sharing, and you guys go ahead and play that, and I'll stop sharing this. And
stop presenting him while he finds it, and then it'll go. You should be able to go back to him.
Who's going to play it?
Chris is going to play it. You're going to stop him sharing for the minute mind you, while I'm talking, I guess it'll go to me.
I'm not sure how to play it. I'm not sure how to play a live video in this share thing.
Oh, just you've stopped sharing now, haven't you? Just click the link and it'll open up, and then go back to share screen, and then Karen can then present to everyone, and then we'll all see it. I don't know if you've seen this, Chris, but for anyone that's not seen this, basically it's sand, vibrating sand to the resonance of the sound, and it basically makes really weird patterns that you would never expect to see by the continuous tone of certain frequencies.
Let's go back here.
And if anyone's watching this in chat, I was going to say make this full screen and just enjoy this, because there's something really psychedelic about this. It doesn't make any sense, but this is why. This is what I see it
now. There before.
Yeah, from 1 minute onwards.
Can you see it now before I hit?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is what I
from 1 minute onwards.
Yeah, just go from 1 minute plus.
I'm just trying to present it. I don't know why it's not coming up.
Yeah, I've put a couple of links in chat as well to hopefully some relevant stuff.
Now, can you see how this particular frequency creates this particular shape or pattern? And then as he goes through different frequencies, it shows it morphing all by itself into craziness. And there's no explanation for it other than it's psychedelic. I think this is psychedelic, but I think this is the kind of thing that we're looking at. I find this mesmerizing, how it can literally morph and become different patterns. I mean, this is the kind of thing there, 3240. That's the kind of, maybe not that exact one, but it's going to be something like this. Because it just looks like, and this is what I think the stars are. I think the stars are frequencies in some way. Light that is manifest.
Many of them are for sure. Yeah.
Huh?
Oh, what you mean? When they glisten like that and they change shape, because they're slightly changing frequency, so they change.
Yeah. It just looks, for me, it looks identical.
Each star has its own frequency. I think I agree. Yeah.
and we just can't perceive it. We can't perceive what it is we're looking at because it's in different spectrums of light that the human eye can't see. You know, like we can't see infrared and we can't see radioactive and we can't see a variety of other light forms. Well, I think that the stars are that kind of thing. But I mean, have you ever seen anything like this, Karen?
Yeah, I've seen these things before, but it just made me think that maybe that's why the stars are changing all the time, because they just change frequency a bit, and then they're doing that.
Anthony, you've got a P900, right?
Yeah.
You know how they use, if you zoom in on the stars in automatic, you get that thing that looks like you're looking at a star through water or something, and you get this very frequency looking thing. Well, next time you've got a sunny day and there's a glint of light on something in quite a distance away from you, zoom in on it the same way you'd zoom in on a star, and you will get the exact same thing from the reflection of sunlight off of like a glass window or a mirror or something like that. It's got to be quite a way away still, so you go into infinity to zoom in on it. I mean, you can try it with a torch as well. Get somebody at night to stand like 100 yards away with a torch and zoom in.
Did you see the experiment where the guy on the frozen lake got a laser and he was trying to see if frozen lake would freeze with a curve to it? And from about 4 miles, he was able to see the same kind of oscillating pattern that the stars create with the end of his laser.
Yeah, it makes sense to me. Like I said, it does definitely point to light being a complete frequency.
Yeah, the technical term for folks in the chat is collimation. If you just look up collimation, and you can study
Chris.
Yep.
Yeah, I just posted a link. I finally figured out where the group chat was on my screen. I had the screen so big I couldn't see nothing. I just posted a visual aid to help show you how shape math applies to all this. It's a 2-minute real quick. It'll be great for you, Chris.
Cool.
So I should say as well, the information that I just told you about that light, that was given to me by a 13-year-old boy at a meet this weekend. So I just want to let people know the young people are picking up this stuff and doing their own experiments. So
yeah, put the seeds in the kids and just let them have at it. Yeah, absolutely.
Could I just say, is that Daniel?
Hello?
Daniel. Hello.
Do you hear me?
Just about.
Yeah, well,
Really?
since I'm a musician, I've studied a lot of the solfeggios, and those frequencies are the solfeggio frequencies and interference patterns. But what's important to know, if you're a musician, you'll get what we call sympathetic vibrations in other instruments. Like if I pluck a string on my guitar, another guitar that's tuned to the same frequency will start to vibrate. If it's like 10 feet away.
What is that?
Matt's playing tunes.
I didn't mean to. I was getting a link.
Yeah. So it's the solfeggio frequencies is what we're looking at with the sand, and it can cause sympathetic vibrations and other things. But if you're a musician, and where the harmonics will occur on a string, which are divided up by the 3, 5, 8, 12, 11. So it's the actual harmonics on the string. There's a node point string, at a ratio of 1, 3, 5, 8. Right? It divides it up in that fashion. So the string will vibrate equally on both sides of that node. So the sand.
Matt.
The sand on the plate. The sand on the plate is actually what you're seeing is the spots that are in the center. All is actually the most active. The lines are actually where the sand has now become a nodal point in the frequency, and so the particles collect where there's no vibration, right? So the actual energy is in the void, which is similar to the energy being in the center point of the black hole or nothing, or the crossover 0 point. So all the energy is actually at the center of each one of those hollow spots.
Isn't that the same thing with the Mandelbrot set as well?
It's exactly the same thing. So when you think about how cells divide and plants grow and everything else, right? The periphery boundary where the cellulose would collect, say in a plant, is on the outside of where the charged center is. The actual energy is going through the middle, and the outside is just where it stops. And then a hard casing will form or a rock will fracture, right, to make the columnar columns of basalt. It's all the same idea, right? So that's why you notice that the columnar columns of basalt, like in Devil's Tower, are exactly the same as like a muscle structure in like a tree trunk or whatever, the cellular structure. It's because the boundary layer is created by the field and the energy's in the middle. So that's it's the same 1, 2, 3. It's the the trilateral, positive, negative, neutral in all things. That's all you really need to master that, and then you've got it all. Right? It just divides and divides and divides, and it's based on a certain set of divisional properties. Right? So the secret is actually what you can't see. It's not what you can't. The energy is where you can't see it. That's what Anthony's kind of saying. It's the, if I understand that correctly, Anthony, right? It's what you can't see that's important.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
and there's a hidden dimension in the pyramids like that, because there's the unseen dimension. Yeah, in the pyramids, it's the same.
Yeah. So what we see as reality, and then the desk or whatever I touch is solid, is actually just, it's actually not energy. It's where it's actually come to rest. Right. So that's a state of rest. Right. That's why it feels solid, because it's no longer moving like it was before. So the real secret is in what you can't see. Right? That's where so there's actually more of that. So there's more reality that we can't see than we can. Right. There's more reality that we can't. It's the total reverse. Right?
And you want to see a real kicker, and the reason why I started figuring this out early, and I really think the reason why I got kicked out of classes and set in special ed, I was born 8/18/81. That's 888s, 2 1s, and by taking all those numbers and using them to make a shape, I started making shapes in class based on 3 8s and 2 1s. Okay, when I was 5, 4, they start, and then I would color inside the circles and everything. But this is 3 8s and 2 1s. That's 3 8s and 2 1s.
Explain a bit more, Matt, for people who maybe don't get what you're talking about.
Well, like I said, I came up with this whole concept that everything's a shape and everything's a number. You talk about how do you get to the number and how do you get to the shape? Well, it's based on how many degree points inside the circle it would require to make that shape. So if you wanted to make a 8-pointed star, right? You would go and get a protractor and you would measure around the circle 45 degrees, all the way around the circle. And what you end up with is 8 points that are symmetrical to the center, 8 around 1. But the 1 in the middle is to create a 9th point, because you have 8 edges on the outside and the 9th point is in the middle. But this is
the unseen point.
It's the unseen world. Exactly. So I was doing this all my life. Like, I was messing with I was laughing around as a kid. I'm like, everything's 1s and 0s. Everything's 0s and 1s. And they yeah. Boo! Because I was just messing around with my birthday. Nothing more. I was just taking the numbers that I was born on and I was playing with them. And I got cut out of class for that. 3 8s and 2 1s. Your basic binary. Your first little bit of code. And then I started messing around with it and I realized, oh my gosh, no matter which way you go with it, it's the only set of numbers that's the same.
What do you guys think of application? Like, I mean, obviously there's a whole load of knowledge and understanding and everything amongst this group, and and a whole lot of groups and everybody, and we're sharing the knowledge. But as far as applying some of it into practical applications, Just
Well-
ideas in general. Like, has anybody researched?
I have a lot of ideas.
Um,
I have a lot of ideas.
like the Earth batteries, that type of stuff.
That's just one
Salt
idea.
and Earth batteries.
The concept in that alone, because you're changing the whole way of how you produce energy. You're not consuming, you're allowing. You're changing the whole way of thinking. You're not consuming, you're allowing. And when you're inducing energy, there has to be something to fill the void. So more comes. No matter how much you take away from it, the universe is going to fill the gap. It's just going to keep replacing it. And that's what causes your constant feed. So there's no it's unlimited energy. There's no limit. It's unlimited. Tesla wanted to light up the whole world. He had the idea that he could turn lights on for the whole world.
That's the whole root of abundance.
Yeah. His ideas of flight are totally different than how we operate today. He wanted to use polarity of the fields of the Earth to induce energy into these towers that would send electricity to devices. So therefore, you'd have wireless electricity. You would have one unit that would induce, and then the other unit would receive based on the signal. It would charge a battery in flight. So you'd have all these towers, and as transportation would go by, the tower would charge the device that was going by it. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. So you're talking about levitation and unlimited wireless electricity. That's what our Wi-Fi really is. It's based on all Tesla's ideas. That's how they get HARP. If you haven't heard of HARP, it's in Alaska. It's a really big weather manipulation.
It's everywhere now, Matt. It's everywhere, and everywhere that's got it is in on it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this whole thing, this whole deception, this whole lie about what we are, every single country that's got that, because they can't turn it off, and it's an energy field, and they use it. So they can't go to war with Russia, because then if Russia turned their bit off, they'd all be sunk. And they use this in the military, this HARP thing. So they're all in it together.
Base for the whole communication network through the air is the whole reflection on the atmosphere.
Well, the Earth is the network, right? That's exactly what we're trying to say, right? It's a free energy battery, unlimited power and unlimited energy, because it's also a conductor of all the energy in the entire universe, as far as we can tell. It's a self-contained, self-generating, perpetual energy machine.
We're breathing it in, aren't we? We're breathing in the free energy.
Some of it, yeah.
Yeah.
Can I just ask, do people agree that linen is generally considered to be one of the healthy fabrics to wear, as is cotton, yet linen and cotton are not meant to be worn together? Or is it all bunkum?
Yeah, you shouldn't mix your linen and cottons, because you become statically charged and activated, and you'll blow yourself up if you walk into a pyramid.
But do you agree that with, I don't know if it's fiction or whether it's sci-fi or whether it's reality, but apparently the frequency or the hertz of linen and the frequency of cotton, but not together but separately, are one of the healthiest materials that you can actually wear. I didn't know that there were healthy materials.
Yeah, hemp is even better. You can look up hemp supercapacitors. You take hemp and actually just cook it at 200 degrees until it turns into a carbon silicate, mix it with some mineral oil, paint it onto a piece of aluminum, put a little piece of paper between it, sandwich it up, and it'll hold like 400 milliamps or 400 milliamp hours. You can charge a cell phone with a piece of hemp, right? So hemp, cotton, that's what they say, like hemp and the cotton and the wools, and silk too. Silk's another one too that's very healthy for you. They actually bring energy into the fibers themselves.
That's interesting. I never really thought about fabrics like that.
Yeah.
It's one of those every
What do you think,
thing,
Anthony? What do you think, Anthony?
every little thing they get you on, don't they?
Anthony, what do you think about the actual addition of a lot of the chemicals and dyes and stuff, though? Do you think that's interfering with the healthiness of the cotton fibers themselves?
Honestly, I don't know how cotton or linen can be healthy. I'm not sure I buy into the frequency of it all. I've heard it, and I know people that swear by it, but I've never really felt better when I wear cotton underpants to synthetic underpants. So I don't really
Can I
get
just
it.
say something? You're talking about natural things. Yet most of the clothes we wear are synthetic. So what does that mean then? What are we doing to ourselves not wearing natural things and wearing just synthetic and nylons and plastic? And
I struggle accepting that we do anything to ourselves by our clothes, but some people swear by it. So the answer to your question is, I would argue that I don't believe there's any difference whatsoever. But I know staunch advocates that it is terrible for you. That's why wearing pure cotton, like basically unbleached cotton, is the way forward. But I don't see any benefits to it. I understand the concept, but I don't really agree with it because I don't see it. You know what I mean?
Well, a lot of the nylons and plastics and so forth, especially the what's it called? Well, it's nylon, the same nylon that we use to wrap conductors in for high voltage lines. They're UV active, so when they're hit by light, they actually start to radiate and gas off, and then your skin actually absorbs the plastic as it decomposes in sunlight. Right, so you will absorb some of the poisons that are in the plastic itself because they're UV active. Right? So I don't know how I never looked at how UV active cotton actually is. But I do know that, but plastics, nylons, and radons are all UV active type of material. They take up static charge, right?
You want to wear hemp.
yeah, Chris said that one as well, didn't you, Chris? You said hemp as well.
Yeah, hemp superconductors. You can look up for hemp supercapacitors, and you can actually use hemp as a battery, a supercharged.
In the beginning of our Constitution was written on hemp. Our old currency before the takeover by Britain in 1861, all of the currency was printed on hemp. And if you really think about the implications of this spiritually, right? Like, we were clothing ourselves as a nation in the butt of the earth. In commerce, in trade, our money was literally printed on it. So you went to the store and you bought stuff with butt of the earth money. And you traded for butt of the earth products with butt of the earth money. So we were quite literally clothing ourselves in the butt of the earth, and all of the things we did, rope and textiles and everything was all in hemp. And that's the butt of the earth. It was the butt of the earth society, and that's half of why there's a war against marijuana today, because that was the fundamental basis of the culture of this country in the beginning.
Well, they're starting to bring it back in Canada and the U.S. now because they've realized that it is the best supercapacitor out there. So they're going to try and squash it, right? They're going to start trying to actually control it and legalize it. But just one example of the plastic thing that Anthony was talking about, the plastic and synthetic nylons and stuff. You know, when you get into your car on a hot day in the summertime and you notice that there's that white film that's on your window, and yet you've cleaned your car just, a while ago, and you cleaned the windows, where that white film comes from is because as the sun comes in the window onto the plastic dash, the plastic starts to gas off and change its composition. So that white film is actually plastic particles that are now attracted to the dielectrics in the glass itself. So it's a positive ion exchange. So it's being ionized and then attracting to the glass and making that white film that you can hardly get off with the best of cleaners, right? So when you jump in your car, the first breath you take is ionized plastic, right? So just open your car door, let it vent out, and then get in your car, right?
Wow.
If it's been sitting in the sun in the parking lot for 6 hours and you jump in it, right, you're taking a big breath of ionized plastic, just so you know, right? That's what it is.
It's a good thing. It's a good thing I've evolved and learned how to live without a car.
Yeah.
I didn't know that, but that white film I always thought was the effects of like breathing, like not carbon dioxide, but just smog from out of you.
No,
Wow.
no, it's plastic. Yeah. I mean, obviously, if you're a smoker and you're in the car breathing and doing a lot of stuff in your car, I mean, that would add to it. But the basic white film,
Amazing.
the very first one is plastic that's been ionized. That's why over time, like you go to a junkyard, right? You'll see all the plastic dashes are all cracked, right? And CDs will break down in 10 years. If they're exposed to light, they'll break down faster and that's why you store milk in a white bottle versus a clear bottle and such, because the plastic is UV active.
Which is also why, if you leave mineral water in like direct sunlight and you leave it there long enough, when you open it, even after it's been refrigerated, you can taste plastic.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So it's a good idea to take the water and put it into a plastic jar and then sit it in the sun for a while. Then, because the sun will actually purify water, right? You can take dirty water if you're out in the woods and you're struggling for something to drink. Well, you can take pond water, run it through your filter on your shirt to get the frogs and stuff out of it and the goose shit, right? And then put it in a glass bottle and let it sit in the sun for 3 or 4 hours, and then it'll kill the UV light will kill all the bacteria in it, and it's safe to drink, because we treat water and water plants with UV light to kill the bacteria. So purifier, right? So just interesting stuff in my head full of useless information. Yeah.
Can I just say that Daniel's joined the hangout? Daniel, do you have anything to say? You've been listening in for a bit now.
Yeah, hi everyone.
And Daniel's from Chile.
Yeah, remember.
Hi, Daniel.
Hi everyone. I remember about Soleil. I don't know if you guys know this. Is the maximum concentration of salt in water. You just leave a big crystal, preferably pink or whatever, a good crystal of salt, and you leave it a couple of weeks with water, and it reaches the maximum concentration, and that liquid is called Soleil. It cannot be penetrated by any viruses or bacteria, and that's the way we should consume salt, because it's already diluted, so your liver and the rest of your organs doesn't have to dilute it, So yeah, I was remembering all the things I learned about water when I was in the Tree of Life, and it was very important. Was the first thing they taught us is how to remineralize our bodies and how to rehydrate it, because we're not drinking the correct water, and how to do it. So after they filter it, they put a couple of drops of the Soleil, and then you have a mineralized water. So yeah, I just want to share that.
So do you then kind of spray or sprinkle just the water on your food, or how do you?
Yeah, you can use it. Yeah. You can use it in a droplet. That would be the correct way. You dress your salads or wherever. You use these droplets of Soleil, and in your water as well. After you have a distilled water without mineral, you add the correct mineral. That's the salt. So yeah, and there's a specific amount for each liter.
Wow.
Could I also just explain that, because Daniel has turned up a little bit late today, and people may not have maybe have understood, but this is Video Club today, and it's Daniel's baby, isn't it, Daniel? Just explain a little bit about that as we're here, because maybe some of the chat room, I don't know, didn't understand, but I did put it on the link.
Well, we're here to discuss Matt's work and to know each other better, sharing our opinions, and that's why we created the Flat Earth Video Club, to make a research group and hang out at the same time. And yeah, I think this is the third time already, and it's been going on quite well. So I give you a big welcome to everyone that's new here, and I'm really enjoying the conversation. I just arrived from Santiago, and I'm a little bit exhausted because I had to go to court today, but yeah, I'm here. I'm back. So yeah.
It wasn't over you though, was it, Matt? Daniel, it wasn't over you that you had to go to court, by the way, just to tell everybody. He wasn't arrested or anything.
No. It's because my grandmother is dying and heritage problems and things and not very nice things that my family are doing to us. So yeah, we had to fight it and we did it, and so I'm I'm happy with the result. So, okay, it's okay.
Yeah, you can tell us in a little bit then about that, Daniel. Yeah, and just to let everybody know, the next probably one in the video club, you wanted to do light, didn't you? The light source.
Yeah. I think I've been so entertained with Ken Wheeler's work lately, and I think we need to make some really profundization about the understanding of light, because it's the main concept of maybe everything. We talk about perspective, we talk about vantage point, we talk about a lot of light effects, so we better get to the source of it. So I think that's the next hangout, and it's a really awesome topic to really learn more.
And wait a minute, Matt. You can come in next. Just to explain that Video Club is on Facebook. It's called Flat Earth Video Club.
Yeah.
Kara, make sure you send me a link in Messenger, please.
I thought you were already a member, but okay, of course I will.
Yeah.
So basically, it is a site where people are going to put posts on it. But the main aim of Video Club is to pick a video or a subject, then Daniel will list it, and then the group watches it, and then hopefully they come on the Hangout. And then, like, for instance, we've had some questions, like my friend asked one, like some of the chat room have been asking questions, and then we ask questions about that subject. So tonight, it's been Matt.
And on that note, I'm going to take this opportunity to say my goodbyes, my good nights. It's midnight 30 here. It's been a long day for me. I didn't really contribute that much tonight, but I was busy as well, so I kind of did a little bit of both.
Hang on a minute, Anthony, as you're going first. What do we have to do, guys?
Oh, I'm not dressed.
Even better than that.
I have to tie up myself. I gotta go spend some time with my wife. I haven't seen her all day. So.
Oh, okay. So we have to do a group hug then. Patricia, Chris.
It's an eyeball.
The screen's gone red. Why is the screen gone red?
It's because my camera's not even plugged in.
Matt, thank you so much for explaining everything, and I'm sure you'll be back. I'll be on other hangouts. You're going to come on the Pyramid Hangout on Sunday, aren't you?
Yeah, I did put my link down on my YouTube channel, and when I started doing that YouTube channel, it was for my children, so keep that in mind. They don't know nothing, so I went at it like I never talked to them, and they're never gonna talk to me. So those videos are priceless knowledge. I mean, flat out. I mean, there's so much that I've already reviewed, and I've made video commentary on in those videos on my channel when it comes to the trap, when it comes to money, when it comes to Jesus lie. I call it the Jesus lie, and when it comes to the body and its interaction with reality. There's so many different videos I have on there. I mean, listen to them.
Thank you, Matt. We know, and you'll be back. You're part of our family. And thank you, Anthony, for joining us today. I hope that was interesting.
Yeah, we've got a few people requesting a nudie that was promised, so come on, whip it off.
What's that?
Well, you promised nudity.
I'm shy.
Yeah.
Right. Daniel, are you coming back? Daniel, can you show yourself? We've got to have a group hug. thank you everybody on the panel anyway. Shall we end this evening anyway? Thank you everybody in the chat room, looking, listening, and everybody on the panel. And we always have a group hug.
Have a good night. Bye-bye.
Good night, guys.
Bye, everybody.
Hi, everybody.